are these people?
Oh, here I am. All right. Welcome to another episode of Angel in the Afternoon. It's Friday already. Can you believe that? That how time flies. It feels like just last week we were here. And now here we go again. We're here again for another episode of Angel in the Afternoon. That means I'm Angel Rivera alongside nobody yet. Alex Knight's not here, and I think, yes. And I got Witchy here. I'm about to say I'm
Hi.
by myself.
Yep.
Hey, so Alex can't come on. He's tied up with work, so he's not going to be here with us this week. But that's all right. We're still, we're still got a lot to talk about.
Of course.
Let's see. Let's look at this. We got the Let's see. We got oil crisis, possible oil crisis coming on. Looks like it's going to be 1979 all over again, where we don't have enough oil for everybody. So cars will be shut down and trucks will be shut down. And God forbid, we're going to be in a situation where trucks are shut down. That means we can't get food, from coast to coast. So it'll go from crisis to crisis. It'll get worse. Let's see what else.
Well, oh,
We got
nothing be happening. You see bugs.
Yeah, we also got the Russians are bailing out Cuba with oil and cash because, as everybody knows, the United States is blockading Cuba and not allowing in any gas or oil, any medical supplies or medicines or anything like that. So, like they did in Venezuela, they're trying to force out the communist government there in Cuba, and they're also trying to force out Cuban President Gustavo Petra. So they're kind of pressuring him to leave office, even though he's leaving office, I think in July. His term is up anyway. So I don't know why they're trying to force him out of office, even though he's leaving in a few months. And and it seems like the Conservative Party in Colombia is favored to win. So Trump is
Mhm.
going to get a friendly government in a few months, anyways, most likely. So I don't know why he's pressuring Gustavo Petro trying to pressure him out of power too. So Venezuela, he already kidnapped Nicolas Maduro. Cuba, he's trying to oust the communist government there. Let's see. Colombia, he's trying to pressure left wing government there to force him out of power. The president also says he's not afraid of a Vietnam style ground war in Iran. Just openly saying, yeah, that'll be
Forgot
like
it.
Vietnam, but worse because
Oh,
Iran
dear
is like
God.
10 times the size of Vietnam. So imagine Vietnam, but 20 times worse because the country is like millions of miles bigger than
Yeah, I
Vietnam.
don't want
So
to do that because, again, I'm glad my son is only 9 and only going to be 10 this year because, again,
mhm.
he's not going to die for Israel. Go ahead, put me in jail. I'm not going either.
No,
I'm not going to die for Israel.
as I think we talked about this a couple months ago, where they introduced legislation to automatically register every military age male between the ages of 18 and 25 into the selective services. So that's usually where they get the draft from. They haven't had a draft since Vietnam, but it looks like they're seriously considering bringing back the draft because they automatically put every male between the age of 18 and 25 in the selective services. So yeah, man, it's another thing that happened. They actually passed that legislation. So obviously the president signed it into law. So now every male 18 and 25 is automatically in the selective services, which means they're eligible for a draft if they ever bring it back.
It's a good, like I said, it's a good thing because, like I said, I will do whatever I have to stay out of that damn military. Now, technically, I think you have to be, what, 45 and they won't accept you anymore.
I thought it was 40, but again, I could be wrong on that.
Was it
So
40?
yeah,
I could have sworn it
I
was
think
45.
well, unless you're
Oh, let's look
Ukraine,
it
then
up.
you have unless you're Ukraine, then they have to draft guys 45, 50, or 60 in order to fight. But the United States, I'm pretty sure it's 40, but I could be wrong on that. And you have to be healthy, military healthy, basically, which I'm not. But let's see. We got to talk, but that's happened too. We also have a U.S. counterterror chief Joe Kent's resigning over the Iran war. Seems like they're trying to turn him into a good guy in order to run for office.
35, so I don't care.
Um,
I still wouldn't go, even if I was in the age of, because they will take females too.
yeah,
They don't care if I'm a single mother, that, or in the eyes of the government, I'm a single mother, even though I'm
yeah,
happily engaged. But it doesn't matter. I still am not going to fight a war for Israel, and I'm not going to die for Israel. My son is not going to die. If you don't like it, I don't care. Go suck a dick. I don't care. I'm not sending my son off to die for Israel. Period.
oops. All right, here we go. So this is a story from the beginning of the month, but I just saw it, and I've seen this at the pump. New Jersey gas prices jumped more than 40 cents as oil tops out $110 per gallon. New Jersey, the average price of gas per gallon $3.34 this morning. It's actually higher. I saw it earlier today at 3.60 something a gallon. So
Yeah,
it's
ours
actually
is
higher than
3.49. My dad said, because I was like, I need gas soon,
yeah,
in my car, and I'm very lucky that I don't have to really worry about this. Now, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I mean, because I live like 5 minutes from my work, but that
okay,
doesn't mean I want to, walk there.
yeah. Which it looks like it's may happen here. So let's see.
The war hitting your wallet, it is getting worse this morning. Oil prices now over $110 a barrel for the first time in 4 years. Gas prices are following.
And taking a look at gas prices around the state this morning, the current average for a gallon of regular in New
Look at that. A week ago, so in February, it's $2.92 a gallon. At this point, it's $3.34 a gallon average in New Jersey. Now it's higher. I saw it this morning at $3.60 something. So it's definitely higher than that now. So
Jersey is now $3.34. That's up over 40 cents a week ago since the joint
well, some people might think 40 cents isn't a lot, but it is. It's per gallon. So let's say you're putting in 10 gallons of gas in your tank. You're gonna feel it. That 40 cents is a
Yes.
big difference.
And the people, it doesn't matter. The thing is, they don't want you to own anything. You own nothing, be happy, and eat bugs. They either want you in a 15-minute city
Yeah.
where you can walk anywhere. Technically, I
Accord,
could walk to work, but it would take me more than 15 minutes.
yeah. Accord Lord says it's 5.59 in Washington, so it's even higher average over there. So,
And
let's see.
poor people are feeling the hurt, but nobody gives a fuck. No one stops
Yeah,
anything. No one does anything. We all knew this was going to happen. Well, the people who actually think for themselves and don't bow down and suck the dick of Donald Trump, they all knew that if a war with Iran means a war on gas and a war on poor people. Here we go with
yeah.
you will own nothing, be happy, and eat your
This
bugs.
is this is why the government never invaded Iran for 20 years because this is exactly what would happen. They know it. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz, just like every other president since 9/11 suspected that they would, which is why they never invaded. Donald Trump, being the fool that he is, followed Israel into Iran, which now we're in this mess, and it probably is going to end this presidency in disgrace because this war is going to cause causing higher gas. It's very likely to cause gas shortages because the Iranians have shut down the Strait of Hormuz, unless it's the Chinese or Russian, fuel tankers, and they'll allow them through. But any other country, not allowing through. So only the Russians and the Chinese can get through, as of now, at least. So, anyways, we
Again, this
have
doesn't hurt. This doesn't hurt the rich people because they have a chance, and they can get their oil or gas or however they fucking want. Again, you will own nothing, be happy, and eat your bugs.
here's the thing with that. I mean, America produces the most oil in the world, bar not even close. And if we really had to, we can keep it here and we'll be fine. But we have to sell it, on the world market because Shell and ExxonMobil and all these American gas companies have to make more money. So they're not going to
Right.
leave it here. So
That's
even
what
though
I'm
if they
saying. All
redid
these
that, we'll be
pipelines,
fine.
right? All these pipelines that they were putting in, excuse me, and it leaked from day one. Well, that's not here nor there. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
So,
But they're putting all these gas line pumps in, and guess what? Or gas lines in, and the pipeline XL. We never saw a one drop of that. Why? Because they wanted it not for us. They wanted it for so they could send it to other countries, and so other countries can pay exorbitant prices for it. They don't give a fuck about you. When are people gonna wake up and realize they don't give a fuck about you? They don't care if you can't get to work. You will owe nothing. You will be happy and eat some bugs, you fucking peasant. Go away with your fucking issues.
Accord Lord says, yeah, Trump is saying he's going to buy oil from Russia. Ironically, after they spent years, just trying to destroy the Russian oil market. But now it's like, yeah, we're going to need to buy from the Russians again.
Right. They destroyed their pipeline. The U.S. destroyed their pipeline. Yeah. Russia should gonna bend over and say, okay, give it to me, daddy. No, yeah, fuck yourself.
Putin was like, oh, yeah, we can sell oil again to Europe and America. I'm pretty sure he's going to raise the prices on us and on the Europeans, because he's not just going to hand us cheap oil the way that Saudi Arabia did, or Venezuela is now handing us cheap oil thanks to the new president. But that's a whole other thing. We're going to talk about her a little bit later, too. Now, remember, Department of Homeland Security is technically still shut down. Not ICE, of course. ICE got their funding, but every other part of DHS is shut down. By the way, including the TSA. So it's been massive lines at the airport around the country because they don't have enough TSA staff in order to get everybody through in a timely manner. So it's a massive issue. So let's see. Oops. Hold on. Let's try doing that. Oops. Come on. This thing doesn't work. All right. So pretty sure it's copyrighted, but you can see the lines here. Travelers going through security at AUS face long lines just to get inside. Forget about getting through security and getting inside. There's long lines at the airport. I'm glad.
When are the presidents going to realize that they don't care about you?
I'm glad I don't have to fly because I'd be fucking pissed. One general security.
The only people they care about is the people with private jets. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care if you're stuck in an airport. They don't care if you're stuck in long lines for a long time. They don't care. And anyway, I want to ask a question. One that Jesse Ventura had asked. Sometimes we're so we allow people to literally feel us up and sexually assault us, or sorry, assay us every time we go through insecurity. That's what they do. They literally fill you up.
Or either they fill you up, or if you don't want that, you have to go through a machine, which they see you naked. So which one is it? Either they fill you up or they see you naked. So it's not really in a situation where flying right now is not fun. Either they see your cock or they're gonna, fill you up, and including
they're gonna feel yeah.
So
that's how they get off. They think it's funny. Hey, we get to touch the peasants. Yeah, fuck yourself. You ain't touching me.
Yeah. So, or if you refuse that, then you have to basically wait there for forever. And they do it on purpose in order to mess with you, and you'll probably miss your flight. You'll get through eventually, but you're probably going to miss your flight. So, let's see.
That's why I'm glad I don't fly. First of all, I ain't got no money to go anywhere. Second of all, I ain't getting on a plane. I ain't getting in no secure airport, so someone can throw me the fuck up.
One general security line stretched outside of the building beyond the sidewalk by 4:30 in the morning. So you can see the lines insanely long. The Austin Bergstrom International Airport says today departing passenger volume will likely break a record for a single busiest spring travel day at AUS ever. They're bragging about the fact that they're going to break records for the busiest day ever, but the reason why that is because there's no TSA agents, so nobody can get through in a timely manner. So people are stuck there. And they miss their flights, and then they have to rebook their flights, and they have to literally spend the night at the airport because there's no flights, which is a whole other issue. So let's see. That's it. I think that's.
I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. They don't give a fuck if you peasants have to muck in with the rest, and if you get felt up, even if there's no TSAs, somehow they're trying to make you more secure. Bullshit. You ain't making me secure. You ain't doing nothing. All you're doing is feeling my vagina and my tits.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get off.
It hasn't really been covered by this space, but DHS is still shut down, including TSA. Not ICE. They got their funding and they're still fucking with immigrants, but everything else at DHS is shut down. We hit 34 days into the government shutdown 2026, and the Senate vote today, Thursday, March 19, 2026, is unlikely as hopes lawmakers pass the DHS funding bill and vote to reopen the government dwindles amid a TSA staffing crisis at major airports. The Senate returns this afternoon, but a DHS shutdown end appears out of sight as Senate Democrats and Senate Republicans continue a bitter battle on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. as TSA wait times tick up and the partial shutdown collides with spring break travel, which is a whole other thing. There's spring break coming up, and college students are going to be traveling to Florida and California and hit up the beaches. That's not going to happen now, most likely, because of all the airport waits and stuff. Let's see. Partial shutdown. Congress has failed to reach a 60 vote needed to pass H.R. 7147, an appropriations bill to fund DHS agencies, including TSA, ICE. They already got their funding. I don't know why it's there. Border Patrol and FEMA, and the Coast Guard. Border Patrol also got funding. It's still working. FEMA don't have funding. The Coast Guard doesn't have funding. Only one Democrat, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, crossed party lines to vote yes. Well, of course he did. He's at this point might as well be a Republican.
Yeah, I mean, he's a piece of shit. Uncle Festerman is what I call
him. TSA workers getting paid right now are doing so with just partial paychecks, while others are called out or quit, prompting long security lines. CEO of major airlines, including American, United, JetBlue, and Southwest, has urged Congress to restore DHS funding to allow TSA workers to get paid. Latest shutdown news comes as U.S. gas prices hit average at $3.90 a gallon nationwide. That's the average throughout the country. And global oil prices have surged, with barrel prices topping $100 per day or today after Israel attacked the Iranian gas field, which is what they did. The Israelis attacked the Iranian gas field, which then makes them less likely to sell oil to the West. Like, why the hell would you attack one of their gas fields? Anyways, why would you invade Iran to begin with? This just doesn't make any sense.
Because they have coveted this for years. They wanted a war with Iran to literally, fuck with everybody. They wanted to kill Muslims. And I'm not trying to be, pedantous. Yeah, I'm not trying to. It's literally the Jews got pissed off at the Christians, but then they turned around and bitch slapped the fucking Muslims. It was the fucking Christians who killed you. Hitler was Christian, you idiots.
Yeah. Pentagon chief Pete Hegseth has asked Congress for $200 billion to fund the Iranian war, stating it takes money to kill bad guys. In a Pentagon hearing Thursday morning.
No, it doesn't. You just don't want it for poor
people. $200 billion. At this point, the U.S. dollar is a joke. Like, they just print it. They just, oh yeah, we need $200 billion. So the what's that place called? The Federal Reserve just prints money and gives it to us, gives it to their government. Oh, by the way, they give it at an interest rate, so it's a loan. So when they get that money back, the bankers make money. So it's a big scam. Democrats have been critical of Trump's war in Iran. Oh, trust me, if Kamala Harris was president, the exact same thing, Democrats would be defending it. So they have no leg to stand on this. Stating in a House intelligence hearing this morning that Trump administration went to war without providing any intelligence indicated that Iran posed an imminent threat to the U.S. Trump is giving conflicting reasons why the U.S. attacked Iran. Iran war live updates, blah, blah, blah. As we hit day 34 of the partial government shutdown, we tie for the second longest government shutdown in history, partial and full federal shutdowns combined. The longest shutdown in 2026 lasted 43 days, while the partial shutdown in 2018-19 lasted 34 days. Who was president in both of them? Trump. Betting odds on how long like people are betting on how long the shutdown's going to last. I mean, we're just gambling ourselves to death here. How long the government shutdown lasts on Kalishi and Polymarket forecast the shutdown stretches over 64 days or April 18th, as well past Easter 2026 holiday, which is a big major holiday people fly. People fly on Easter to see family. A Senate recess is planned from March 30th through April 10th. So the Senate's just fucking off for like 2 weeks. So while DHS is still shut down. So a Senate vote to end DHS shutdown and reopen the federal government needs to happen this month, or else the shutdown will cross over the 43-day mark, making it the longest shutdown ever. But all eyes have been on the SAVE Act, which passed a key test vote this week, but is still unlikely to become law. However, it doesn't stop Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a South Dakota Republican, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a New York Democrat, from engaging in a fiery debate in the Senate floor. Republicans have faced pressure by Trump to pass the 2026 legislation before the midterms. What the SAVE Act is basically national voter ID. So to force every American to have ID in order to vote. By the way, you don't need ID to be added to the selective service. We just automatically add you. The irony
That's
there.
why I'm not voting. If you don't
Yeah,
like
the
my little
irony
voter
there.
registration card, you can go suck a dick. Because I ain't showing you my ID. My ID is already guaranteed, so go fuck yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm not voting again. I mean, I'm like, what is it, black pilled or red pilled? I always get confused by that Matrix reference. I think pretty sure it's black pilled or red pilled. It's one of them. I don't remember right now. Since the Test SAVE Act vote passed this week, the Senate has engaged in deep debate over the SAVE Act. Blah blah blah. It's expected to do so in the coming days, nights, and weekends, and days, nights, weekends, and weeks amid Trump's push to pass the bill before the midterms. Well, even if you pass the bill, there's no way to implement it in what 6 months before 9 months before the election. I don't know what difference that's going to make. So what time? Blah blah blah. Who cares? You guys get the point, and I'm gonna keep reading this. It's the shutdown is continued, and we're kind of screwed. If you're flying for spring break or Easter, you better get to the airport like 6 hours early, not 2.
Well, either that or you might as well just drive. Just drive. If you
Yeah,
can,
it'd be
just
easy to
drive.
drive. It'd probably
I
be
know
easy to drive.
it's $4 a gallon at the pump. It's better. Driving is better because at least you won't get felt up. I would rather drive than literally get felt up. And that's legalized SA. That is legalized.
Hey, Ellen, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Ellen.
Make sure you like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Let me share this screen here. I think we're looking at another Wall Street crash again. Like you can tell based on what Wall Street is doing. BlackRock, Blackstone, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Morgan Stanley all blocked or capped withdrawals from their private credit funds in Q1 2026. It's not a rumor; it's in the filings. In 2007, the same thing happened with mortgage funds. We all know how that ended. So the crash of 2008. So Black Owl has halted quarterly withdrawals. So the dividends you get, you're not allowed to withdraw them from Blue Owl, even though you invested in that company, but you're not allowed to withdraw your dividends. So they keep your money.
I am so glad I don't have a 401k anymore.
Yeah, because you're not getting any funding from Blue Owl. BlackRock, $26 billion, capped withdrawals for the first time ever. So they're limiting how much you can withdraw from your dividends. Blackstone, $82 billion, record withdrawal request, 7.9% in Q1 2026. That's a lot of withdrawal requests from dividends from Blackstone. Morgan Stanley, $7.6 billion. Cap withdrawals at 5% total was requested. 11% was requested. So instead of getting 11% of your money, sorry, you only get 5%. Cliffwater, cap withdrawal 7%. Total requested was 14. Again, instead of getting 14% of your money, you get 7. And basically, fuck off. J.P. Morgan Chase, de-risking exposure, more collateral required. $22 billion in revenue, and they're panicking because they're not even allowing you to even touch your money.
Like I said, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that bullshit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a 401k.
I'd rather just have a savings account, so I know exactly how much I'm saving in a savings account. They can't touch that.
Cord Lord says very little stocks give dividends. Yeah, it depends how much you own, and it depends whether the company wants to give you dividends. It seems like they're blocking attempts to try to withdraw money from the investors withdrawing money. So, whoops, didn't mean to do that, but oh well. I agree. In fact, I think you would agree with this too. Hold on, I gotta reshare my screen. So, you know what bugs me these days? We can't own anything. Everything is a subscription service, like literally everything. You can't buy Microsoft Office. You have to purchase a subscription for a year. You literally have to pay for everything forever. Isn't anyone bothered by this? Yeah. I remember buying
We've been
Microsoft
screaming.
Office.
We literally, we've been screaming this from the fucking rooftops. Where the hell has everyone been? You will own nothing, be happy, and eat the bugs.
If you buy
You
a
won't
new
own a
vehicle,
car. You won't own a house. You won't own anything in the car. You'll have to pay a fucking subscription for it.
yeah, if you buy a brand new car, there's these Toyota, Ford, they're all doing this. They're basically forcing you to pay a subscription for certain features in your car, like heated seats. In the winter, you're cold and you want heated seats. Sorry, you gotta pay $10 a month for that. So is that not just your car payment to the bank? The companies themselves are forcing subscriptions on you for standard features on a vehicle. You want to use your radio? $10 a month, which I don't think that's true, but I'm exaggerating. But you get the point. Eventually I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not giving him any ideas, but
you're not too far off. Sirius XM. If you want to have XM radio, I think it's XM radio. If you want to have XM radio in your car, yeah, you have to pay a subscription for it. They don't have that. Lifetime is like $500, I think. I don't think they have that anymore with XM radio. Listen to XM radio. I plug in my phone because I have a 2015. I plug in my phone into the USB port, and I just listen to whatever. Either I listen to right now I've been trying to catch up on Jim Cornette's show because I haven't had a lot of time to listen to his show. But so I just plug it in, it plays through my speakers, and that's what I listen to. I listen to Jim Cornette, or I do Live by Live because you can still do that for free. But they're trying to get me to pay them so much a month. The free stuff is fine. I will take the commercials.
Yeah. Cord Lord says Honda said they would never do a subscription service for now.
And they lied, yeah.
For now, I mean, right now they're not doing it, but I'm sure eventually, they are going to be pressured by their investors to come out with subscriptions. Cord Lord says $35 a month. I assume that's for Sirius, which my mom was paying $26, but when I tried to cancel, they gave her a deal for like $6.99 a month for a year. So she took it because she actually listens to it.
Yes. So they that's because again they don't want you to cancel. They don't want you to do the free stuff. If you know how to do it, I'm touching my nose. There's a trick to the trade. You have to do it like I do it, or I downloaded Live by Live from my dad, and all you have to do is sign up with an email address, and you can have a free account with Live by Live. It used to be AOL Radio, and then it switched to like Slacker Radio, and now it's called Live by Live, okay, or Live X Live. But it has the same thing. It has a 60s channel that he can listen to, and it has commercials, but that's what you get for free stuff.
Yeah,
he can literally have that over. Well, yeah, so I'm sure iHeartRadio has that too, where it's radio, but it has commercials in it. But what the cool thing about it is, you can literally, I can turn it on. His Bluetooth will play it over the Bluetooth. Like he doesn't even have to plug anything in. Now mine's a 2015, his is a 2019. So he can play his Live by Live. He can play his I like 60s music too. So. It like I said, it has a 60s channel that I listen to as well as he listens to. And all I have to do is enable it on his phone, play it, and boom, it plays. All I have to do is hit the media button, and it plays through the goddamn Bluetooth. I wish mine could do that. So I am saving up to buy another car, but it looks like, I don't know what I'm going to do at this point.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can get. I don't even know if I can get a car loan through my bank or through one of these banks, and I'm scared to death, because And they could deny me, and
mom,
now I'm stuck with this car.
and leasing a car is difficult too. So because the dealer wants you to have
I'm
a
not
good
leasing
credit.
no car. I'm not
They
leasing
want,
no car. I have
yeah,
a 9-year-old who spills everything on my carpet. No, I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not fucking, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to fucking make sure that it's fucking clean all the time. No, fuck that. I want to own my car. This leasing shit.
So so I've been watching this guy's videos lately, and I mean the way he sets this, it's way that he conveys information is like very interesting. This is the public school system is designed to dumb you down and train you to be obedient to the rich and powerful who receive a totally different education on how to operate as the future ruling class. So
Here is how the
Wait, what? What is this?
the public school system is designed to dumb you down and train you to be obedient to the rich and powerful who receive a totally different education on how to operate as the future ruling class. So this is what I've been watching this guy a lot, and and he's like, wow, So I didn't even think of this until he mentioned how the public school and private schools that rich kids go to, how they educate their children, completely different.
Here is how the rich and powerful have manipulated the school system to give their children an advantage over the rest of ours. Because in public schools, our children are taught to repeat after the teacher and repeat what's in the textbook. To demonstrate they can do that on a standardized test, and if they can, they get an A+. They are the smart kids, but what they really learned is that truth comes from authority. Opposed to the kids of the rich and powerful who learn
The private schools and how they teach their children.
grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Grammar, up until 5th grade, is the rules of language and that words have meanings. You have to define your words. Logic, between 5th and 8th grade, logical thinking, basic ABC logic, and the logical fallacies, how to identify common manipulations within arguments.
See, rich kids get that education. They're taught how to identify logical fallacies and how to counter them. Meanwhile, look, the standardized tests in public schools. I graduated high school in 2004. I don't think did we have standardized tests? I don't think so. I mean, it was shitty, the education, but it wasn't like standardized tests like you do today. That trash.
I graduated in '04 as well. And man,
I don't
I'm
remember.
trying. I think we did it in 11th grade, maybe 10th
Yeah,
or
no,
11th grade.
No Child Left Behind was passed when the Bush administration introduced standardized tests with No Child Left Behind. So hold on, 2002 was passed.
I was going to say I was like 16, so it had to be like 10th, 11th grade that they did some standardized testing. But No Child Left Behind was bullshit. All they did was like kick you out of school.
Yeah,
they had you drop out.
So No Child 2002 was passed. So yeah, I mean, we late in our school careers, I had that standardized testing bull crap, and it.
My son has it. My son has practice for. They actually sent a packet home for the PSSAs, and he has to do math. He has to do language, and he has to do like a reading comprehension. The thing is, I already knew this. I mean, what's his name? Oh God, George Carlin. George Carlin talked about this. They always lower the standards in public schools because the kids are so dumb because they don't do anything.
Yeah, there is.
My son cursive. I am teaching my son cursive.
They play. I've been seeing teachers come out and talk about how Gen Z is like high school teachers. Like, holy shit, they don't even know how to write a paragraph. They could barely read and reading comprehension, and schools are graduating these kids, even though they don't know how to. They barely know how to read, or they barely know how to write a paragraph. I mean, we're in trouble, when in 20 or 30 years when Gen Z gets into power. So it's like, so
That's
I can't. I could do an entire episode on it.
Why? remember you had done a story about this. Remember when I think it was last week you did a story about this, or 2 weeks ago. Because the kids are too busy going, hey, AI, write my fucking paper for me. Because I don't know how to fucking write.
Yeah,
Jesus
college
fucking
students
Christ.
are. It was a parody, but pretty much that's what college students are doing now. They have AI write their paper, and then they feed it through another AI to make it sound more human, and then they feed it through another AI to do something else, and then they submit it, and they email it to their professor, and that's it. They just lay back and do nothing, and they're giving out college diplomas for this shit. So, like back when I was in college, I didn't have AI, so we literally sat down and had to do our own research. We had to write out our papers. At least we did it on the computer, so we typed it out. But we had to
Yeah, we
write our
typed it
own
out. It
research.
had to be
Yeah, printed.
12 points, and it
Mhm.
had to be New Roman times,
Yep.
and it could be double spaced, but it at least had to be 3 pages if it was double spaced, or 3 or 4
Uh-huh.
pages.
And you,
If it was single spaced, it had to be at least 3 pages anyway. So
and we had to put our sources in APA format. So
that's
now
correct. Yes.
yeah, I was in college, so I had to do all this, and the AI now does that for the students. So it's like we're graduating kids that know very little and need AI to function, which honestly I think is by design because AI is taking over our lives anyways. So this is by design. So the Gen Zers that are coming up going through high school and college, they don't know anything. So it's
Not
designed
my
that way.
son.
Unless you're rich and then you get a proper education. But if you're poor, they want you to be relying on AI and relying on them in order to make a living, barely make a living. I mean,
Right.
if
Well,
you're
and I heard a comedian say this one time. I think it was Dana Carvey. He said his sons, were trying to do a math problem or whatever, and said his son looked at him and said, "Dad, why can't we just Google it?" He's like, "Because I want you to suffer like I did." Do AI will do the work for you now. You don't even have to do a
yeah,
math problem. But my son, I'm literally teaching him pre-algebra because I think my son can handle it. My son is a whiz at math. I'm telling you, a whiz.
it's
Um, and I'm telling you, like, he's going to sit there, he's going to show the work, he's going to do the work. He's going to have Google do it for him.
yeah that you have quite frankly, if I don't know how you're gonna have time for this if you're a parent working 2 jobs, but you have to sit down
Well,
and teach your kids yourself because you have to find that time. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Maybe not watch so much TV. I don't know, crazy idea there, but yeah, you have to find
I
time to
don't,
teach your own kids.
to be honest, I don't even have a TV in my room. And that's where I
I
am.
don't either. I
I'm in
don't
my
either.
room because I can do everything on a TV. I can do on my computer, but that's because I'm a
Yeah.
computer technician by trade. But
Mhm.
anyway, yeah, I actually have to sit my son down with a pre-algebra book or an algebra for beginners. And I actually showed him because I had to reteach myself. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't touched this in a long time. I got to figure this out myself. Algebra, I was so good at algebra. So he's going to be so excellent as well. He's already, I mean, he gets math, he gets multiplication, subtraction. I mean, he was doing 13 times 13 at kindergarten. And that's because they have these really cool kid songs where they're like 13 times 13. And they do it to like these, melodies and stuff. And they teach them how to do that, the multiplications, right? I'm like, shit, I
Yeah.
don't know how to, I didn't know how to do 13 times 13. And I still have to think about it for a
Yeah.
while. But,
So of course,
but I have to teach him cursive. He's
yeah, you
almost, through his one cursive book. And then I had to find an advanced one that does, words and paragraphs. And at the end, you write a big letter in cursive. I'm teaching my
yeah.
son how to do cursive.
Well, the excuse is these days that we type everything out, so really don't need cursive, so they scrap the courses. Even though I learned cursive in high school as well, and middle
I
school
learned it in
too.
third grade.
Yeah, I mean, in our state, they kind of introduced that in middle school. A Chord Lord says my oldest before graduation was using an app that you take a pic of the math problem and it answers it for you. I
Oh,
snatched his
Jesus
phone and made it
Christ.
do it the right way. That's AI. Yeah, that's an AI app.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to let my son do that. I'm not even going to get my son a phone until he's 12 or 13. Because again, I don't trust him to, not see something he's not supposed to see. Now, that could just be me being a cautious mother, or it could be, that I'm over dramatic. Whatever. I don't care. My son is going to be 10 years old. In a couple of years, he's going to find out what girls are all about. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm a little cautious,
Yeah. So this guy keeps going for a little bit,
and rhetoric, which is the art form of emotional communication, the art form of persuading. How do you take an argument and win over a crowd? How do you lead a room?
So again, rich and powerful kids, they're going to be the leaders and the politicians that are elected to Congress, the Senate, and the White House eventually. So yeah, they have to learn persuasion.
Persuasion, but also have charisma, because you have to know how to room too, right?
Yeah, you have to, because if you don't have charisma, no matter how right your argument is, if you're sounding like a boring,
Robot,
technocratic, overeducated person, then no one's gonna listen to you. So
right.
you're gonna have to have some charisma. Like
you're gonna have to also learn how to dumb down stuff. Remember that the presidents talk to us like they're fucking kindergartners.
Yeah.
Because some people have the mentality of kindergartners, where the rest of us who actually use our brains, we know actually how to do all this. I was talking to one of my customers the other day, and he's an Amish guy. And he's like, well, imagine these kids today, if the machine breaks down at McDonald's, they don't know how to give change. And that's absolutely correct.
They don't know how to make change. That's another thing. They don't know math. They barely know math. So they need their AI, a computer, to make change for them. And to tell them, okay, 65 cents. So you take 2 quarters, a dime, and a nickel, make 65 cents. They don't know how to do that. And they're graduating these kids at public schools. So yeah, we're in trouble. Once these Gen Zers get to be 25, 30 years old, and we're going to be in our 60s telling me, oh my God, look how dumb these kids are. They need AI to do everything for them. And we're going to be the old men, old women yelling at cloud stage in our lives, talking about how these fucking kids are idiots. And we're sitting in our porches, if we have a house, which most of us won't anyways. So let's see.
Well, I kind of feel bad.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add one more thing. I feel bad because, my coworker is 27, and he's talking about, he wants to buy this house with his wife and his son because he has like a 19 or 20-month-old son or something. And I kind of chuckled to myself because I kept thinking, yeah, right. You will own nothing, be happy, because they don't want you to own a house. So you can save up as much money as you fucking want to. I guarantee you, because I told him, he's like, well, we're starting to save for the down payment and then for the payments. And I went, you do know you're going to have property tax on top of that. You're going to have insurance on top of that. You have to have all this other stuff that you're not thinking about. You're not seeing the big picture. And he just kind of looked at me, dumbfounded, and he went, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Duh.
Yeah.
That's why most people can't afford a house, because they don't think about that.
In New Jersey, we are having a local political issue here with property tax. The new governor, Mikey Sherrill, is talking about raising property tax in order to justify her big budget, that she's trying to pass. So
you fuck over the poor people so they lose their house. That way they have to rent, and you will own nothing, be happy, and eat sea bugs.
And I'm like, I don't own a house, but increased property taxes, all that's going to do is hurt the poor and middle class because they barely have homes as it is. And they're like, oh, well, see, political art. Well, rich people in New Jersey, they can pay it. So they're trying, but poor people, middle class people can't. And even then, they're probably not going to pay it.
That pays property tax. Show me one. Show me one rich person that pays their property tax. I will wait.
Yeah. So let's see.
Children are taught to repeat,
in public school,
to follow, and to obey. They are being trained to be the worker class. But in elite schools, children are taught to think, taught to lead, taught to persuade. They are being trained to be the managerial class. Or in other words, they're being trained to be the authorities and our children are being trained to obey the authorities. But you can even the playing field by teaching your kids.
Anyways, he sells his products there. It doesn't matter much. But you get the point. He's right about how the schooling system's been set up now. Is it possible for a kid in public school to become the managerial class? Sure. But it's very difficult, and you have to educate yourself, basically, in order to become part of the managerial class. And that's
I have a mother like me who literally wants to sit down and teach him all this stuff. I want to teach him more than they will. I don't even think they're going to get. Well, the teacher was trying to bullshit me, I guess. She was like, "Well, if we have time, we'll get to cursive." I went, "Oh, go fuck yourself." But I didn't say that to her. I just, okay, whatever. But they're not going to teach my child cursive. My child already knows cursive because I actually sat down with him and made him read a book.
Yeah, these teachers, the millennial teachers that are there, they're pretty lazy too. They don't want to really teach anything either. So that's another issue, which you didn't mention, but that's definitely another issue that teachers, first of all, they don't really have the budget. Literally, teachers, even back when we were at school, they would do this. They would buy supplies for us. They would buy notebooks and pens and out of their own pocket. And they don't want to today.
Yeah, they don't want public schools to be funded. Look at what they've tried to do all these years. They've tried to literally defund public schools and give it all to private schools because, again, poor kids can go fuck themselves and rich kids are going to be the leaders. So they want good, obedient workers. George Carlin talked about this too. I'd like to see a bumper sticker instead of, "Oh, we have an honor student," which I used to see those all the time when I was in middle school. And I never once saw my mom put on the bumper sticker, "Oh, well, my daughter is on the honors roll," whatever the fuck it is.
Hey, cowboy.
Hey, cowboy. My son, but he said, how about we see a bumper sticker that says, "My son or daughter is I'm the proud parent of someone who has gone to a public school and has resisted the will, his teacher or teachers or his authority figures to not break his spirit and his will to become a slave," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but I mean, he basically said that. I just want my son to know, and I always make this joke. I say this to everyone because I'm in computers. I was very good at algebra. I was very good at trigonometry, or at least pre-trig. I was good at geometry as well. And I was very, very good at binary math too. You want everyone geek out with someone, talk about binary math. That's, computer math. So, and I said, wait till Darian learns, sorry. Nothing, never mind. You wait till my son learns binary math. And then you'll see, right? So, I mean, there's things that I'm going to teach him that I know the school is not going to. Okay, and it's because I've been in the IT field for over 19 years now. I keep telling my customers that because a lot of them are amazed at how smart I am. One, I'm a woman, and two, I'm in the IT field, which is mostly male dominant. So a lot of Amish people, I guess, are surprised that women are just as smart as men when it comes to the IT field. So I have to actually say that over and over again.
Yeah, there's a traditional hierarchy within the Amish, which is men work and the women raise the kids. So they don't go to school.
Kids home barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is a little bit of a culture shock, but a lot of them are very nice. I have a very sweet customer base who talk to me mostly with respect. Yes.
Yeah, in New Jersey, we have a Columbus flea market, which is like 30 minutes from my house. I go there all the time, and the Amish sell some amazing breads and foods like that. It's like, wow, this is really good. I mean, and they're really nice, and they're really nice people too.
And their woodworking, if I ever wanted to build like a wood structure of any kind, I would go with an Amish guy or an Amish person because, I mean, they are phenomenal. I saw this beautiful barn. I know we're getting off topic, but I did see this beautiful woodworking barn that an Amish was selling, and I was like, oh, that's really nice. He's like, yeah, we made that like several years ago. I was like, oh, that's so cool. But, I mean, yes, there is a hierarchy, but even in this world, even in the English, as they call us, even in this English culture, we are also hierarchied. It's taken me 19 years to build myself up to where I am not like, just trying to make ends meet in the IT world because nobody took me seriously. Oh, they pay men all kinds of money. They get $30 an hour in the IT field. As much experience as I've had, they want to pay men $30 and $40 an hour. Me, they want to pay me like $10 an hour.
Yeah, what's fun? And I'm trying to get into the IT field as well, and I guarantee you, I can probably get a job around $30 or $40 an hour, because it's based off my past experience too. Before I got the IT certificate or whatever, so
right, and that's the thing is, I had to work on all this experience. See, when I first started, they wanted all this experience. Now they just want a fucking bachelor's degree, which I don't have, and I don't have time to go back to school for. But what happened to, you have, I have an associate's degree, but I've had at least 19 years in the IT field. And I think that, is something that plays against me in this field is, again, one, I'm a woman, and two, I don't have a bachelor's degree, nor do I have the money nor the time to go back to school. So this is a new experience for me. It's taken me, like I said, 19 years to get to a place where they actually see that I can that I do know more than the average bear, and that I am very skilled in what I do.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the IT field is really dominated by men, because I've already been kind of around the field now recently because I'm studying the IT world, but yeah, most of I've never so far not met a woman in the IT field except for you, but yeah, I'm talking about in the real world, so it's mostly men.
Yeah.
Anyways, this guy again, this is interesting. Budweiser, who reports record profits, but they're in $50 billion of debt. Target's $19 billion in debt. These corporations don't push woke nonsense by accident. They're completely leveraged by firms like BlackRock. We've heard BlackRock plenty of times lately. So,
Coca-Cola is $47 billion in debt. Pepsi is $50 billion in debt. And Target is $19 billion in debt. And this is true of the vast majority of major companies in America. It's been this way since the early 19...
So he talks about a Supreme Court case, which I had no idea about, which I was fascinated by. Let's see.
1800s, when the Dodge brothers sued Henry Ford. Ford had wanted to lower the price of cars and pay his workers more. But the Dodge brothers owned 10% of the company and wanted him to maximize profits. And when the courts ruled in favor of the Dodge brothers,
So this is the case we're talking about, Dodge versus Ford Motor Corporation. It's a case where the Michigan Supreme Court held that Henry Ford had to operate the Ford Motor Company in the interests of his shareholders, rather than the manner for the benefit of his employees or customers. It is often taught that affirming the principle of shareholder primacy or primacy, which basically means the shareholders dominate these public companies, and the CEO has to listen to the shareholders and not do right by their customers or by their employees. They have to basically give all their money to the shareholders instead of helping their. Anyways, today CEOs don't want to help employees anyways, or their customers. But at the time, Henry Ford allegedly was trying to do that, and Dodge were like, "No, we're going to sue you and take you to court," and they won. And it forever changed these public companies.
Established shareholder primacy, which requires corporations to maximize profits for their shareholders. So what happens is you get a man like this who starts a company like Pepsi, and the company is connected to his heart and his soul. But eventually the company goes public and offers its stock for sale. And that's when institutional investors like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street.
Look at this. The three big investing groups in America, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, manage over $22 trillion in assets. They hold roughly 85% of the total GDP in the United States. You'll be shit, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, look at that. I mean, these three investment companies control $22 trillion in assets of all the companies they invested in.
Come in, and they buy stock in almost every Fortune 500 company, and they want to maximize profit. So these companies are always
so they maximize profits in the short term and don't give a shit about the company in the long term. they'll sell the stock before the company falls apart. By the way, I forget which investment firm did this, but they did this with Toys R Us. Toys R Us was leveraged to hell, and that's why it closed down, at least in the United States, even though it's still around in Canada and Australia. But the U.S. version of Toys R Us was shut down, and I loved Toys R Us back in the day. I mean, it was.
I love Toys R Us too. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Yeah, I was too. And it was the investment firm that Mitt Romney worked for. I forget right now what it was called, but they bought Toys R Us. They leveraged it to hell, put like $50 billion of debt in their books, and then they squeezed out all the money they can and they shut it down. So it's the same thing they're doing with these other Fortune 500 companies. They don't give a shit.
They do the same thing with didn't they do the same thing with Kmart?
Yeah, it was excuse me. It was leverage. They did what they called a leverage buyout, which basically means they use debt in order to buy the company and make it private. So I forget who did that. It was some other investment company. They did a leverage buyout of Toys R Us, or excuse me, Kmart. A leverage buyout is basically means, let's say you want to buy a company for $100. The numbers are small, but you want to get the point. And they only have $1 to buy the company. How to get the other $99? They take out a loan. What's their collateral? The company itself. So they take out the loan for $99. They buy the company, and then they put the debt on the books of the company. And they take out all the money they can, and then they shut it down. It's like, sorry, we shut down, and we can't pay you back. So it's just a big scam. You know what they do?
This ain't going to business, but does anyone remember Ruby Tuesdays?
Yeah, I do.
Now they still have some locations that are still fully operational, but Ruby Tuesday emerged from bankruptcy on February 24th, 2021, with 209 restaurants having closed, more restaurants than initially planned. Yeah, there used to be a Ruby Tuesdays here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and literally it disappeared overnight. Why?
Yeah.
Another one was not Golden Corral, but oh crap, I forgot. Cactus Willie's. We used to have a Cactus Willie for us, and they literally went out of business too.
Another one I'm thinking of is Old Country Buffet. I love that place.
Yes,
We go there all the
yes.
time.
We had the Old Country Buffet right in one of the mall areas in Lancaster County here, and yeah, that went out of business too. And now it's I don't even know what it is. I used to work for the Bonton IT. Anyone remember the Bonton? They were buying up all kinds of things like around the eastern states, and then they were kind of moving west. And now they're no longer heard of. The Bonton is no longer heard of. Why? Because they're going under. JCPenney's is going under. I know they are. They just got bought out by some.
Yeah, so then these investment companies just leverage these companies to hell, and they put all this debt in their books, and they can't recover. And now PepsiCo is investing $400 million more in 2 plants in Vietnam. Why in the world are they in Vietnam?
Does anyone remember Sears?
Oh yeah, Sears. I mean, that's what it is. Kmart and Sears were bought out by this investment firm and turned into one big company. And they all fell apart because they were leveraged to hell.
They also bought out the Bonton.
Yeah, they were leveraged to hell. I mean, it's all these Fortune 500 companies are leveraged to hell with debt. That's why they have to keep investing and they keep expanding, because these investment firms want massive profits in the short term. They don't give a shit about these companies in the long term. They just want their profits, and then they sell the stock when it falls apart. So, and try to get out before they go into bankruptcy.
Looking to open up new markets, and in order to do so, they go deeper and deeper into debt. And of course, publicly traded companies have a corporate board whose members are chosen via vote by the shareholders, including the institutional shareholders. And this is why so many publicly traded companies suck, because the board then appoints the CEO, and at that point, who does he answer to? What is his responsibility? It's not the customers, it's the shareholders. And most of these CEOs are just
Harvard Business School. We educate leaders who make a difference in the world. That's a lie. What they do is these MBAs are trained to follow their shareholders and their investors. They're not actual leaders. They're just puppets for the investors and the CEO and the board.
Ivy League
Look at what happened with Walmart.
MBAs.
Walmart took out Kmart. Because everyone was at Walmart because there were cheaper prices, and that's why Kmart, Sears, Bonton. There's someone else I'm not thinking of that went out of business too. But I think J.C. Penney's is headed that way. I know that well, a lot of these stores, you can just Kohl's is probably going to go under because you can just buy your shit online now, or you could buy it from the Five and Below store. I don't even know if they have. Do they have Five Below stores? Five and Below, I think.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I mean, I'm not sure we have one in our area, but I've heard of them. What was I going to say? I forget right now, but let me just keep playing.
Trained to maximize profit, and they don't have any real connection to the company like a founder would. So when the shareholders come along and say, we need you to push ESG or whatever the agenda is, maybe it's this or maybe it's this, it doesn't really matter. The CEO is going to do it because these companies.
Oh yeah, Radio Shack.
I remember Radio Shack. Holy shit, yeah. Well, see, the thing is, my coworker was born in 1998. And when I said answering machine, he went, "What the heck is that?" I went, "Answering machine. You know, an answering machine. You had an answering machine." He goes, "I don't know what that is. You mean voicemail?" I'm like, "No, you had a machine with a tape in it, and you actually had to rewind the tape and hit the play button so that you could listen to your message."
Yeah, it was literally a machine. Now today, you have it in your phone voicemail, but no, it's
these are leveraged.
So Coca-Cola made record profits. They were bragging about this, but they don't tell you they're $47 billion in debt. Why? Because these investors want to maximize profits. They don't care about the company being in debt. All these Fortune 500 companies are in debt. Even Walmart, even though Walmart makes record profits, but they're leveraged to hell too.
By debt, the CEO answers to the corporate board, and the corporate board answers to the shareholders. And this is why I always tell people it's so important that they support mom and pop and support companies that haven't gone public. And it's why I write.
So he starts selling, advertising his products, but you get the point. I mean, it's just, these Fortune 500 companies are trash.
I don't buy Budweiser, but has anyone tasted Coke and Pepsi lately? No offense, but I used to drink Coke and Pepsi all the time when I was a kid. Can't drink it now. It's literally syrup. Have they changed something, or did they do something different? Because I mean, I can't drink shit.
Yeah, they might have changed the recipe, honestly, because it tastes different. So let me see. David says, and Target also put a dent into Kmart in New York City because Target has a contract with New York City, so no Walmart in New York City. There's not a Walmart in New York City? Wow, I didn't know that. I assume there's a Walmart everywhere in the country. So for no Walmart in New York City, that's weird to me. So that's interesting that Target now has a monopoly in New York. That's not legal, but no, Trump isn't going to do anything about that. Trump's war
not going to do anything of that.
No. Walmart. Trump's war is bringing economic calamity to the UK. So this is about gas prices and stuff. So let's see. 70 winters ago this week, blah, 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 the streets of Britain fell eerily quiet after one last panic buying spree. Many garages shut and traffic in the heart of London dwindled away. The formal introduction of the petrol rationing has begun. Petrol means gas, by the way. That's the UK calling it that. Limiting drivers to 200 miles worth a month, with exceptions for farmers, doctors, and vicars. I don't know what that is. After the Suez crisis blocked fuel supplies from the Gulf. Ancient history now, would it be it, or is it, if it weren't for looks like an increasingly like the U.S. own version of the Suez? A great power starting a war it doesn't seemingly know how to finish against an enemy it woefully underestimated. Which they did. They underestimated Trump, and the Republicans underestimated Iran, which we all predicted. The Iranians not just going to give up and hand us whatever we want. They're going to fight a guerrilla warfare, and they're going to kill our troops like they did in Vietnam. Like the Viet Cong didn't just give up. They did surprise attacks, guerrilla tactics, and eventually we had to withdraw for like 15 years. And it looks like we're going to do the same thing in Iran. If the Strait of Hormuz, the vital shipping lane now rendered unsafe for shipping by Iranian drones and mines, cannot soon be reopened, then Britain could be weeks away from needing to ration fuel. The former BP executive and government advisor Nick Butler warned on Monday morning. Since nothing guarantees the panic buying of petrol, like the fear of other idiots might soon start panic buying petrol, he may not be thanked in Whitehall for mentioning something that hopefully would never come to pass, but Butler was only stating the obvious. If the crisis goes on long enough to create a physical shortage of oil, then critical users like the emergency services would have to be prioritized somehow. And other countries are already being forced into drastic steps. Pakistan has closed schools and put government offices on a 4-day week. Vietnam is urging people to work from home. And Bangladesh has rationed soldiers at fuel depots after bringing in rationing for motorcyclists.
Breaking news. We have breaking news here. Breaking news. Ted DiBiase Jr. has been found not guilty of all charges in a fraud case. 7 years of being slandered and made to be something that is completely false has about torn my family apart, but we're strong.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. It's like, oh, wow. I mean, it's interesting that he's found not guilty because there's all these allegations that he bought $1 million boat and he spent all this money to get an expensive house, and he had to allegedly did it because he stole money from the welfare system. But turns out he's found not guilty, so that's interesting.
And they were saying, you know how I hate when they say, because we were talking about this on my show, which I think is coming out. It already came out, I think. Where we were talking about this, where I was saying, you know, well, no offense, but that welfare money, they were saying, oh, it came from poor people or whatever, or it was supposed to go to poor people. Was it? No, it wasn't. Poor people were not going to see that money. Don't even make me laugh.
No, that the man who caused this crisis is demanding NATO members to bail him out of it, threatening a very bad future for the alliance he has so often rubbished if it doesn't take on dangerous tasks of clearing the straits. Illicit open scorn in Europe was what Donald Trump expect from a handful of European frigates in the Strait of Hormuz that the mighty U.S. Navy cannot manage alone. So yeah, I mean, you get the point. I mean, the British, Trump is just screwing over the British, but they'll still support the U.S. because they're our puppets, quite frankly. So they're grandstanding now, but it doesn't mean that they won't all of a sudden, you know, not allow the U.S. to basically force them into doing stuff they don't want to. Let's see.
So I'm sure everyone's heard this breaking news. Chuck Norris died. Not that anyone cares. I wasn't much of a Chuck Norris fan. Sorry.
Yeah, that he passed away earlier this morning of natural causes. So fuel crunch may worsen, says oil industry to Trump administration. Let's see. Why is this here? What is this? Why is this here? Okay, there it's gone. U.S. oil executives are reportedly alerted the Trump administration that the energy crisis that has emerged from the Iran war is likely to get worse. This comes after Brent crude futures and U.S. West Texas intermediate crude surged to more than 40 cents this month, at the highest level in 2022. According to Wall Street Journal, in a series of White House meetings and recent conversation with Energy Secretary Chris Wright, the CEO of ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips warned that the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz could continue to create volatility, whatever, in the oil market. I can't even say it right now. So let's see. Exxon CEO Darren Wood said oil prices could rise past current elevated levels, the report added. If speculators bid up prices, markets could see a supply crunch of refined products. He said ConocoPhillips CEO told officials that the conflict and tanker disruptions around the waterway could keep markets volatile. There it is. I said it right now. Oh yeah, I mean, we could fix this if we keep our oil, all the oil we produce, instead of selling it in the world market, we keep it. It'd be fine. But no, we can't do that because all these American oil companies have to turn a profit. So they have to sell.
Why would they have poor people to drive the work? Don't you know poor people have to sacrifice for the rich?
The report added the Trump administration considering several measures to ease prices, including sanctions on Russian oil, more. Here we go again. Releasing emergency crude reserves and boosting flows from Venezuela. So hey, ironically, they're going to sell oil, buy oil from the socialists in Venezuela. Industry executives warn that opening the Strait of Hormuz could be the only lasting solution to stabilize energy markets, the report added. Meanwhile, Trump has called on several countries to send warships to secure the Strait of Hormuz. He said Gulf countries must come in and protect Hormuz as their own territory, and it's where they get the energy from. So Trump is trying to force other countries to secure the Strait of Hormuz. Why don't we do it? Like, we have a mighty military. I mean, we should secure it. But Trump's like, oh, no, you guys secure it. Help us out here. We started the war, but you guys do it. I mean, I'm not going to do anything. Let's see.
Mark my words, guys. You will own nothing, you will be happy, and you will eat sea bugs.
So where are we? Here we go. So I had to in order to get this article, I had to go to this website. I forget what it is. I forget what it is right now, but I had to go to this website in order to get rid of the I forget what it's called, the paywall. Basically, there's a website you can go to get rid of the paywall on every article, either no matter what. It's like, oh, that's fascinating. I can get rid of the paywall on Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal, whatever. So it's like, oh, great, perfect. Because there's some articles I would like to look at, but they're all paywalled off. Anyways, Cuba's worst fuel crisis in decades may get relief from Russia. A tanker carrying Russian crude appears to be heading to Cuba as the fuel-starved Caribbean island seek a reprieve 3 months after Trump administration effectively shut off flow of oil to the country. Data from maritime intelligence firm Kepler Limited shows a tanker carrying more than 700,000 barrels of Russian crude is expected to arrive in Cuba by the end of the month. I wonder what the U.S. will do. I mean, this is scary because if they attack that Russian tanker, then that could be a start of World War III right there. That could, because the Russians are not just going to bend over and take it. They're attacking their oil tankers. And also would create our environmental disaster because 700,000 barrels of oil spilling into the Atlantic is going to cause a horrible crisis, like the one in New Orleans. I forget what it was called. Halliburton started that one. One of their oil rigs accidentally exploded. So the Russian oil would be a test of the U.S. embargo on the island. And it's unclear if any vessels would be able to deliver crude. Since December, a U.S. naval blockade in the Caribbean has successfully deterred ships from approaching Cuba. While the threats of tariffs on the country supplying oil to the country led Mexico to halt shipments in early February. Mexico has previously emerged as Havana's top supplier of oil after the U.S. captured Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro earlier this month and halted fuel flows had been the communist-run island's staunchest ally. But right now, I think inherently the Russian tanker is here, and it's eventually going to end up in Cuba, like right there. So the U.S. is have a naval blockade here in the entire island of Cuba. So if the Russians try to come in and get through, it'll be interesting to see what the U.S. does. If they attack the Russian tankers, very likely at that point the Russians will respond and run World War III, essentially. So hopefully either the Russians will back off or the Americans won't attack. It's one or the other, because that could spark World War III.
And the next time someone says Trump is Putin's puppet, show them this fucking article. That shit too.
The Democrats are they're still insisting that he's Putin's puppet, even though he's put more sanctions on them. And there's a serious threat of attacking this Russian tanker. So the vessel Anatoly Kolinkin appears to be making its way from Russian Primorsk port.
5 times fast.
The commercial Manatas port in Cuba is Tuesday carrying 730,000 barrels of Russian Urals oil. Kepler data shows another tanker that appeared to be carrying Russian oil to Cuba last month, the Seahorse, briefly appeared to move again towards Cuba after diverting course last month. So the Russians are playing a game of chicken here and see whether the U.S. will allow them to bring oil to the country or not. So hopefully cooler heads prevail, and because as you remember back in the 60s, Cuba nearly caused World War III then with the Cuban Missile Crisis. So now Cuba again is in the middle of two superpowers here playing political chicken with each other. The arrival of one of them could be the first major fuel delivery after a lengthy halt. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel said last week that his country has not received a delivery in 3 months, and that it would be the longest Cuba ever gone without receiving fuel at least 12 years. A crude delivery would not provide instant relief to Cuba. It needs to be refined before it can be used, a process that can take 20 or 30 days, said Jorge Pion, researcher at the University of Texas at Austin Energy Institute, who tracks fuel shipments to the country. That's why our argument is do not send crude to Cuba. You need to send the finished product. It's a good point. I mean, the Russians are sending crude, so they're going to need at least a month to refine it. Especially Cuba, the island nation that that they don't. I'm not sure if they have the ability to refine it. Maybe they do, but it's going to take at least a month for them to do it. Still, 700,000 barrels of Russian crude would be a significant lifeline. Cuba needs approximately 100,000 barrels of oil a day to function, but produces just two-fifths of that. Every day without fuel shipments, it gets closer to what Pignon calls its drop-dead date, the day when they run out of fuel, which is close to coming. Since the U.S. set up the naval blockade, Cuba has been running on oil it received in the previous months, and a small domestic production of heavy crude. It uses feedstock for power generation in cases of emergencies. The island has been plagued with power outages and shortages of fuel from the U.S. embargo. So is Puerto Rico, which is a whole other thing. Because they have power outages all the time down there. Cuba's electrical grid suffered a total collapse on Monday, leaving the island's 10 million residents in the dark. Lack of power for everything from hospitals to garage trucks to refrigerators has triggered a deepening there we go, humanitarian crisis across the country. I can't read. Trump has issued a fresh warning to Cuba while his power grid was down, telling reporters Monday that he believes he'll have the honor of taking Cuba soon, saying that he could free it, take it. I can do anything I want. Havana, meanwhile, said it would open its economy to the Cuban diaspora, a longtime demand of exile community in Miami. So Trump's saying, I can do whatever I want. I mean, it's not the first time he said this. I mean, it's scary that a U.S. president thinks he can do whatever he wants. At this point, he's not wrong, though.
True, he really can do anything he wants, and he has been. Every U.S. president since World War II has been doing exactly what started, which is they're a rich person who can do whatever the hell they want. They can invade any country they want. They can take what they want, and they are exactly right. They can rape children, for fuck's sake. We have a bunch of pedophiles in the White House.
Let's see. And Pakistan and all these other countries, Middle East, is not the only country. Sri Lanka also has announced a 4-day work week, declares Wednesdays off to save fuel amid the Hormuz crisis. So Pakistan not the only country in Vietnam that are doing this. Sri Lanka has moved to a 4-day work week as part of emergency measures to conserve fuel reserves amid a deepening global energy crisis triggered by tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. The Sri Lankan government has declared one additional day each week as a holiday for public institutions, effectively cutting the work week to 4 days in many sectors. Starting March 18th, Wednesdays are declared public holidays, reducing transportation fuel consumption. We must declare for the worst and hope for the best, President Anora Kumara Disakanke said at an emergency meeting with senior officials on Monday. The newly implemented 4-day work week would extend to educational institutions, including schools and universities, essential services such as healthcare, ports, and emergency operations. However, they will continue to function as usual. Officials opted Wednesdays as additional day off so the government offices would not be closed 3 days in a row. Additionally, National Fuel Pass system is introduced, require motorists to register and allocating a limited amount of fuel for purchase. So more and more countries going to have to do this if, this crisis gets, long enough.
And America will be like, I don't give a fuck if you don't have gas to get to work. You get your ass to work. I don't care if you have to walk 5 miles or 40 miles. But I don't
Yeah.
care. You get your ass to work. I don't
David
care.
says,
I'm not gonna stop working because you can't make it
yeah.
in.
When will that kid Elian Gonzalez become president of Cuba? Yeah, that's the kid that, if you guys remember back in the 90s, that's the kid that came to the U.S. and became a national celebrity. And there was political debate whether to keep him or to send him back to Cuba because his father lived in Cuba and wanted to have him return to Cuba because his mother and other family members died during their trip to the U.S. Eliana was the only kid that survived. So eventually, President Clinton ordered INS to grab him and return him to Cuba forcefully, by the way. So it wasn't. You remember that photo with the agents like holding a AK, not an AK, but an AR-15 at this family member's head and the kid's head. So there's a famous photo of that. That went viral too. Not viral, just before the internet, but you get what I'm saying. Went around the media outlets. Not the only countries that's doing this. In Thailand, citizens are encouraged to ditch formal attire for short sleeve shirts to minimize air conditioning use. And Myanmar has introduced alternate day driving restrictions based on license plate numbers. Bangladesh has brought forward Ramadan holidays and implemented planned blackouts to conserve energy. The Philippines has introduced a flexible work arrangements, including remote work and banned non-essential public sector travel. The country is
That's
also
only for
offering
rich people.
financial assistance to vulnerable groups to help with rising fuel costs. Vietnam is
Yeah,
promoting
right.
cycling, public transport, and reduced personal vehicle use, which is eventually the plan. They don't want anybody to have cars, so only
Again,
the rich
yeah,
can get cars.
exactly. Well, no, the rich have private jets. They
Yeah,
don't need to go anywhere by car because they have chauffeurs and they have
yeah,
limousines, which cause more pollution than any fucking car on earth. But again, this is what they want. This is what the rich wants. They want you to literally. America would say, and this is what America would say. Oh, you don't have enough gas to get to work. You get to work. And they don't
yeah,
care. They don't care. You either get to work, you lose your job. So people are gonna lose their jobs. People can't
yep,
get food. They can't have health care. They can't do this. They can't do that. It's going to be just like it was in 2020 during COVID.
yeah.
People who can work from home, they already are. They never went
That
back to work.
yeah, that's the COVID was the test run for a lot of this stuff, and people pretty much conformed. I mean, there were some people who didn't, but people pretty much conformed. With the war in the Middle East and Church of Holy Scripture in Jerusalem is closed for weeks, halting liturgies during Lent. So as everybody knows, it's Lent right before Easter. This is a famous church in Jerusalem, but it's been shut down because of the war. And there are a lot of Christians, are kind of worried about East being shut down during Easter this year. For Christians, the Church of blah 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 is the center of faith's defining story. Tradition holds that within its walls stands both Galatia, where Jesus was crucified, and the tomb which Christians believe he rose from. This is why
It
it's
was.
prolonged closure during the current Middle East crisis is reverberating across the Christian world. Authorities shut down church on February 28th because of escalating security concerns and the regional holy war intensified. I added holy war, by the way. Since then, access to the old city's major holy sites have been heavily restricted. For the first time in living memory, liturgatories have stopped inside of the basilica for weeks. The sanctuary normally hosts a near continuous rhythm of prayer led by three communities that share custody of the church. The Greek Orthodox, Armenian Apostolic, and the Roman Catholic churches. On Monday, local
I mean,
time,
no
Israeli
offense,
police.
but didn't Jesus say you could? He hated religion, and two, didn't
Mhm.
Jesus say you could worship anywhere? Why do we give a
Yeah.
fuck about if a church is closed or not? I'm sorry, did I miss
Well,
something?
it's allegedly where Jesus was crucified and he rose from his grave in that church, which is why it's one
But
of the most
that
holiest
story
places
that
in
story is not
Christianity.
just over. I watched what was I watching the other day? It was the story behind the story of Jesus, which is
Mhm.
basically that they took a bunch of Greek and not Greek and not Roman, Greek and some of the pagan gods, basically. So they took some Egyptian, they took some of the Greek, and they took some of, here and there. The only thing that was original that they came up with was a goddamn crucifixion and resurrection. Well, actually, no, the resurrection, I think Horus was it Horus or was it someone else that was resurrected, they said, from the dead or something. But for fuck's sake, Osiris was cut into a billion pieces, and Isis had to resurrect him. That's the resurrection story. He had to put his pieces back together.
There's a
Egyptian
lot of
story is not original. They took stories from pagan gods and stuck them all together.
There's a lot of, like, Jesus was a lot of his story was stolen from pagan and Egyptian religion and stuff, because there's the virgin birth that was stolen from some, I forget who right now.
Egyptian. Isis. Isis was when Osiris was cut up, and I don't know why I looked this up, but I looked up the story of Isis and Horus. I think because I was watching a religious thing and they were talking about how Horus, the story is just like Jesus's. Horus was born of a virgin who was Isis because Osiris was in pieces and she did the nasty part with his dick. And so technically it wasn't like, it was sex, but it was like sex with a real dildo.
Yeah.
And out came Horus, again, I don't know why I looked that up, but I just wanted to kind of know, because I love Egyptian culture and I love learning about Egyptian gods and goddesses and stuff. So yeah, she did the nasty part, and that's where the story of Jesus, born of a virgin, supposedly, quote unquote, even though it's highly impossible. You cannot get pregnant by spiritual means. Trust me, I know. And it's amazing how they took all these stories and then put them together and said, oh, well, the devil tried to, he lied about it. So, what the hell are you talking about? Christianity came from pagan. You had one God, that's it. Jesus wasn't even heard of. They had to make it up.
On Monday, Israeli police reported sites in the Old City of Jerusalem were hit by fragments, including in the vicinity of the Church of the Holy Spectator. According to the New York Times, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem said fragment landed just several hundred feet from the church, and at least one person was injured. Jesus' Way of the Cross, the closer, comes after a particularly sensitive moment in Christian calendar, Lent, the season of preparation for Easter, has traditionally drawn pilgrims to Jerusalem from around the world.
September. Wasn't it before Labor Day or something? Or I don't know. I thought Lent was before Labor Day.
Yeah, it's right. Lent is right before Easter.
Yeah, much I know.
This is basically not celebrating or remembering Jesus spending 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. So that led right to Easter and to his death by the Romans.
Yeah. You do know that was just a I want to be by myself kind of phase. I need to be alone, I need to figure shit out.
Where allegedly he was tempted by Satan to renounce his God and to do that. Jesus refused, of course, but
that's what they say. But again, Jesus was a male witch. He did spells. He used herbs to heal the sick and heal the blind or whatever. To make a blind man see. He used herbs. He was a witch. He was a male witch.
The season of preparation for Easter traditionally drawn pilgrims to Jerusalem around the world. Many walked Via Dolorosa, the route commemorating Jesus' crafted crucifixion, before gathering for prayer inside the Holy Scripture itself. Now these century-old practices have been abruptly interrupted. Why? Because Israel decided to invade Iran. Now, to be fair, also because of the genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza, but yeah, Israel caused this. Not these not any other country in the U.S. too. To be fair, we caused this too. I mean, we're not totally innocent here. Church leaders in the Holy Land said the situation is unprecedented in the duration. Even during past wars and periods of tension, worship at the site continued in some form. Restrictions during the pandemic limited pilgrimages. Can't read. Clergy are still
I can't say it either. I could say situation either before.
Yeah.
Pilgrimages. There
There
you
you
go.
go. The clergy were still able to celebrate liturgies inside the church. I butchered that word too. The uncertainty now raises
Hey,
concerns about the coming celebrations of the Holy Week and Easter, the most important days in the Christian calendar. Let's see. Fragments of intercepted Iranian missiles have fallen in parts of Jerusalem during the escalating conflict. The police and emergency services report indicates that debris landed near the whole city, including the vicinity of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The incidents have intensified fears about safety around the historic sanctuary. Christian leaders are working with Israeli authorities in hopes of securing permission to celebrate the Paschal liturgiaries inside the church. Even if access remains limited, the basilica is often called the mother church of Christianity because of direct connection to the events of Christ's passion and resurrection. So it keeps going,
that
but I'm not
stupid,
going to read all this.
what is it? Shroud of something or other. The
Torrid, I
shroud
think.
that they talk about. Yeah,
Shroud of
they talk
Torrid, I
about the
think.
shroud. Oh,
Uh-huh.
please. Somebody fucking made that up. Oh, this is where
Now,
Jesus burned his body into the shroud. I'm like, right.
yeah,
Okay.
that
Good one.
they allegedly recently confirmed that that was actually Jesus' face. Yeah, I saw an article on that. It's like, oh wow! I mean, they confirmed that it was Jesus' face in the Shroud of Turin. I think is what it's called. Let's see, the
How
Golden
would they
Dome.
determine that?
I don't know, DNA, I guess, but do they have Jesus' DNA? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
exactly. So I question how they proved it was unless there was a guy named Jesus. There could be a guy named Jesus, but
The
like
only
even our
way,
founding fathers didn't believe that shit. Like I think it was Thomas Jefferson took out all of Jesus's miracles and all the fucking magic, painting,
yeah,
and he made his own Bible.
it's called the Thomas Jefferson Bible, which is in his house
Yeah,
in Monticello to this day in Virginia. Remember the Golden Dome that Trump is trying to build? Not just like they're trying to build a giant missile defense system. The Iron Dome in Israel barely works. Now we're trying to build one
it
that's
doesn't
like
work.
10 times the size of the Iron Dome, which Obama funded for Israel, basically, but it doesn't barely works. The Golden Dome cost estimate gross $185 billion. I mean,
Yeah, fuck you,
uh,
poor people. We're just gonna build something that doesn't hurt while you all are
yeah.
going hungry, eating the bugs.
Space Force General Michael Glutien on Tuesday estimated the Golden Dome missile defense system will cost some 185 billion as the U.S. looks to accelerate some space capabilities, up nearly 50% from initial estimates. President Trump originally slated 125 billion for a state-of-the-art defense system, inspired by Israel's Iron Dome, which barely works, and Congress has already approved 25 billion for the project. Gluten, that's not his name, but I pronounce it gluten, also forecasted the Golden Dome be complete by 2035, 6 years after Trump's original timeline. Glutien said his team had discussed plans to add a space data network, an advanced missile tracking initiative, and the hypersonic and ballistic tracking space sensor, according to Reuters. The add-on would ramp up the price tag, but increase defense possibilities through precise tracking of incoming missiles and the ability to counter offensive strikes aimed in the U.S. Is not the technology, it's the scalability and the affordability, he said at a McLeese Defense Programs Conference in Arlington, Virginia. Can
You
we
know where they're
scale
gonna
down?
put this dome, right? They're gonna put it over the fucking rich. They're not gonna care about
Uh,
poor people. Poor people must die for the rich.
it's like that movie Elysium, where all the poors and the criminals and they stayed down in Earth while the rich lived in space above the Earth.
Exactly,
And
because they think they're above everybody.
yeah, can we scale down these solutions fast enough, affordable enough to be effective against the threat? Is really where the challenge is going to be. 9 companies, including Lockheed Martin, RTX, Northrop Grumman, Aero Venament, Palantir. There they go
I
again.
always say Northrop Grumman. Just say it fast. It sounds better. Northrop
Northrop
Grumman.
Grumman,
Yeah, say it
Firefly
faster.
Aerospace, Anduril, and Blue Origin, that's Jeff Bezos' space company, are involved in the project so far. So of course Palantir has to involve itself. Lockheed Martin. Here's the thing: they're going to take all the money, and then they're going to tell the White House that it's unfeasible, and they're not going to build it. That's what I predicted in the beginning.
They're only going to put it over rich people.
Or yeah, they'll do that. So
the rich will be just fine.
They're going to tell the White House that it's unfeasible and take all the money from Congress. Let's see. What else do I have for you guys?
What happened to our audience? Did they fall asleep? Everybody wake up. Wake up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's not much going on in the chat right now, but let's see. So let's start. I talked about this a little earlier. So let's see. Can I play?
The Iranian regime is still.
So this is Trump claiming that he's not afraid of Vietnam-style warfare in Iran.
The Iranian regime is still.
It's not his kids that are going to die.
Yeah.
It's not his kids or grandkids that are going to die.
Barron is not going to be a part of this war anyway, so he doesn't really care.
Are you afraid of that?
No, I'm really not afraid of anything.
Mr. President.
There are thousands of U.S. Marines on
You're
the
afraid of being poor.
I'm not afraid of anything, except when he got 6 deferrals from Vietnam, and one of his excuses was that he had heel spurs, but he couldn't. That he quoted the wrong heel. Apparently, it was supposed to be the right heel, but he swore that it was left heel for years. So, yeah. So his dad got him out of Vietnam. They kept getting deferrals. Dick Cheney got deferrals. Trump, Newt Gingrich.
All the rich people did. Yep.
Yeah.
All the rich people.
Who else? And there's somebody else that got deferrals. I think wasn't it Lindsey Graham or some older senators have gotten deferrals from Vietnam too.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I don't think he's afraid of those because a lot of George Bush.
W. Bush also he didn't get deferrals, but his daddy got him into the Texas National Guard, which means he didn't have to serve in the actual war. He just stayed.
Yeah, he didn't have to do fucking anything. He didn't have to be on the front lines. He didn't have to go over there, I think. But yeah, you're right, Sean. I don't think he's afraid of the obscene files because again, they're out. We all know that he's a fucking pedophile, but nothing's gonna happen to him because again, his followers literally think that he walks on fucking water. I'm dead serious.
Yeah. Let's see. The president said Tuesday he's not afraid to deploy U.S. ground troops in Iran. Speaking from the Oval Office,
kids and grandkids. You Trump.
Speaking in the Oval alongside Ireland's Taoiseach, Michael Martin, the president fielded many questions about the war. Are you afraid to put boots in the ground in Iran? It could be another Vietnam. No, Trump shot back, adding, I'm not afraid of anything. The president has previously stated that he would deploy ground troops as necessary, but he has offered few details in that scenario would prompt a boots on the ground invasion. He also said during the sit-down with Taoiseach that the U.S. has completed destroying Iran's energy infrastructure. We could take out their electric capacity in 1 hour, he said, adding that there's nothing we can do.
I think it's contemplated.
Yeah. Let's see. Whoops. So the president said the war should only last weeks. His concern on administration officials, the offensive can last much longer. This is a repeat of the Iraq war.
Yeah, someone forgot to give Trump the memo that we don't do week wars. We do forever wars.
Yeah, this
so
is
that
a
they can fucking make those weapons manufacturers fucking rich beyond their wildest dreams.
We see
and send our kids to fucking die. Our kids, not rich, not politicians that want to fight these fucking wars. No, our kids.
Yeah, but this is a repeat of the lead up to the Iraq War and the start of the Iraq War. George W. Bush promised it would last weeks. We'd take out Saddam Hussein, then we leave. When he took out Saddam Hussein, he put up the mission accomplished banner, which was infamous. And at least Trump hasn't done that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did something like that.
He will. This war will go on for years and years and years. Again, they said Afghanistan was going to be a week's war. They said Iraq was going to be a week's war. They said that, what's the other one? Well, we're in fucking Syria. They said Syria would be, Syria. They said, Libya, don't worry about it. Let's get there. Let's get over these countries. Right, people, wake
Yeah.
up.
Oops. Three sources familiar with the matter told Axios that the Middle East could run into September, a much longer timeline than Trump has discussed publicly. The president was also confronted with the news that his top counterterrorism official, Joe Kent, has resigned over the war. I've always thought he was a nice guy, but I thought that he was very weak on security. Very weak on security. I didn't know him that well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy, Trump said. So why did you hire him? I mean, he's very weak on security, but you hired him anyways. But when I read his statement, I realize that it's a good thing that he's out because he said Iran was not a threat. Well, there wasn't. They weren't a threat. He wasn't wrong. I mean, they're definitely not a threat. Now they're a threat because they're bombing all the Middle East countries and U.S. military bases. But they weren't a threat before. Kent resigned early on Tuesday and published a letter publicly noting how he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. By the way, why hasn't Tulsi Gabbard resigned? I know Alex is not here, but I'm sure he would have brought up Tulsi Gabbard. She's still in the administration, and she was against the war in Iran.
She's still a dick sucker. She still sucks the dick of Donald Trump, even though she's a military veteran. See, I think that's all bullshit. I don't think she served at all. I think they just say that. She probably was in the National Guard and didn't go anywhere.
I don't know if she saw combat. To be fair, I don't know if she saw combat, but the one thing she claims she was in the military, which she was, but I don't know if she saw combat. It's kind of like Pete Buttigieg. Remember when he was in Afghanistan for 2 weeks and he acts like he served in the military, but he didn't? So it's like very similar to what Pete Buttigieg did. He was some kind of like secretary or something in the military for 2 weeks in Afghanistan.
Who's that,
and he acts like he served.
That lost both her legs. Duck something? What was her name?
I don't
She lost
remember.
both her legs. She did serve. And she was still a war criminal. That's because they told her, you will be a war criminal.
I forget her name right now, but I know you're talking about the congresswoman who doesn't have legs.
Yeah, she lost both her legs to combat. She was actually in combat, and they got to her too. Trust me, they will get to anyone and everyone they can, and they say you will abide by our rules, or you will not be in this club, and we will make sure you disappear somewhere. You got to suck the almighty dick, guys. That's what it's all about. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about your kids, and they want your kids to die for some meaningless bullshit because they know their kids and grandkids are never going to go.
Yeah.
I agree with Jesse Ventura. I think anyone who wants this war, their kids in Congress or their grandkids, actually both, kids and grandkids, you go fight the fucking things then.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the congresswoman referring to Tammy Duckworth, by the way. So
Tammy Duckworth, I remember the Duckworth, but yeah, she lost both her legs. She's still like, oh, I like war. Oh, fuck you.
I remember her when she came into office. She was anti the Iraq War because she lost both her legs there. But now today, I mean, she's kind of a warmonger Democrat. When Biden was president, she's pro the Ukraine war. So she's turned into total neocon pretty much, just like everybody else. Yeah.
They said, you are going to do what we say, or we will make sure you disappear and no one ever sees you again. That's how it is. You are either in the club or you're not.
AOC is the other one, where she won't even come out against the Israeli war in Gaza. She won't come out against the war in Iran. It's like she's keeping her powder dry to run for president. Like, it's super obvious she's running for president. So
Alex has died.
Yeah, she's desperately trying.
I had to be Snow. Snow Gimbo. Where are you, Snow? Alex is off. Alex had to work. We put him to work, you know.
Yeah. Alex had to work.
He has to make us money.
Yeah, so he initially told me he's going to be a little late, but then he realized I have too much work, so I can't really make it. Okay, see you next week, I guess. Blah, blah, blah. Iranian posed no threat to the nation, and it's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and powerful American lobby. He said in his dramatic public breakup with the administration. Evidence that the U.S. is considering ground invasion of Iran is mounting. Last week, the military ordered 2,000 U.S. Marines and their equipment, alongside several naval vessels, to be deployed to the Middle East from the South Pacific near the Philippines. By the way, we have a base in the Philippines, along with like what 80 countries in the world we have bases. So yeah, this keeps going, but I'm not going to read all this. So basically, Trump is being a chicken hawk again. Is like, I'm not afraid of anything. Meanwhile, he got 6 deferments. So did George W. Bush, so did Dick Cheney, so did Rush Limbaugh. That's what I'm thinking of. He got deferments too from Vietnam. But he was a pro-war Republican for most of his time on the radio. So let's see.
Honestly, this is what I'm talking about, guys. If the only thing Trump is scared of is that the poor people are going to rise up against him and make him fight these goddamn wars. Or they're going to cut his head off they're going to delete him for being a fucking child molester. Though, again, MAGA people are so far gone. They're so far brainwashed. They say Trump is not a pedophile, but everybody else is. Listen to how they talk. MAGA does this all the time, but then they did it for Joe Biden, too, because Joe Biden's a pedophile. Oh, well, he's not a pedophile. There's nothing. Bill Clinton, same thing. Old-time Democrats, new-time Democrats. Oh, Bill Clinton's not a pedophile. They're just making that stuff up. Who is silent?
And the talking point of Trump being the FBI informant is just absurd. That he would, give up his friends in the FBI. That's a talking point. I think Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, made up an excuse on why Trump wasn't a pedophile. The Trump administration defends Anthropic blacklisting in U.S. court. The U.S. Defense Secretary designated the AI company a supply chain risk after it refused to remove guardrails on its technology. The administration of the United States President Donald Trump has said in a court filing the Pentagon blacklisting Anthropic was justified and lawful, opposing the artificial intelligence company's high-stake lawsuit challenging the decision. Administration made its comments on the court filing Tuesday. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth designated Anthropic, the maker of popular AI assistant Claude, a national security supply chain risk March 3rd after the company refused to remove guardrails against technology being used for autonomous weapons and domestic surveillance. Wow, I mean, the AI company actually doing the right thing. And, the government's suing them, of course.
And the government's like, oh, fuck you, just do what we say and spy on all the peons.
Yeah. The Trump administration filing says Anthropic is unlikely to succeed in its claim the U.S. government action violated free speech protections under the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment, asserting that the dispute stems from contract negotiations and national security concerns, not retaliation. But you guys have canceled contracts from them, so it does seem like retaliation. It was only when Anthropic refused to release restrictions on his use on his products, which refusal is conduct and not protected speech. Not protected speech. The president directed all federal agencies to terminate their business relationship with Anthropic. The administration legal filing said the filing from the U.S. Department of Justice said that no one is purported to restrict Anthropic's expressive activity. Anthropic's lawsuit in California federal court asked the judge to block the Pentagon's decision while the case plays out. Some legal experts say the company appears to have a strong case the government overreached. Well, yeah, obviously they're doing retaliation because this company will not allow Claude to be an autonomous weapon, seeker or a domestic surveillance program. So
yeah, God forbid you not actually spy on the poors. Because they're too fucking dumb and too willing to suck your dick anyway. Again, people don't understand. Everything you do, everywhere you go, someone is surveilling you.
Yeah.
Wake up.
There's cameras in every corner of every city in the United States. And they already have our face. They already have our biometric data, and we don't even realize it.
That's right.
When Apple initially came out with the iPhone, it had the little thing here, which was fingerprint. You can log in with your fingerprint. Guess what? Apple has your biometric fingerprint and data now, and I guarantee they still have it to this day, even though they took out the fingerprint reader from the iPhone.
Samsung does too, and Samsung still has it.
No, but now you can use your face to log into your phone. Now Apple has your face, basically, if you use that. They have your biometric.
My old job, a lot of people had the iPhone and they had the face recognition, even for the little MacBooks. I was like, Jesus Christ, people, how can you be this stupid? Don't use your face.
Yeah.
I don't use my face. I don't use my finger. I don't use nothing. I use a code, and that is it.
In a
If you want my data so bad, you will take my phone and you will learn what the code is.
Yeah. The company said that seeking judicial review does not change our longstanding commitment to harnessing AI to protect our national security, but this is a necessary step to protect our business, our customers, and our partners. The White House did not respond to comments. Trump has backed Hexet's move, which excludes Anthropic from a limited set of military contracts, but it could damage the company's reputation and cost billions of dollars in losses this year, according to executives. The designation came after months of negotiation between the Pentagon and Anthropic reached an impasse, prompting Trump and Hexet to denounce the company and accuse it of endangering American lives with its restrictions. That's always the excuse. All you got to do is exactly what we tell you to do, or else you're endangering American lives. And now we have to take you out.
How are they endangering American lives when they're not surveilling them? They don't care what you're doing. They don't care who you're fucking. Apparently, the government fucking does. I don't understand this. Like people, and it's AI. They literally defend it. Like, no, they're helping us. They're making us more secure. No, honey, they don't give a about you.
Yeah.
I wish I could grab some of these people and say, "You are literally an idiot." You don't care that they know every website you've ever been on. They know everything that you wear and do, and they can see you through your goddamn camera phones. For fuck's sake, people.
Anthropic has disputed this claim, saying that the AI is not safe yet to be used in autonomous weapons. The company also says it opposes domestic surveillance as a matter of principle. So, according to them, Claude is not ready to be used in autonomous weapons, but the administration wants to use it anyways. Like the company is telling you it's not ready to do this. It's, as a matter, give us rights to do it. What? So the autonomous weapons are going to attack citizens? That's most likely what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not ready to be used.
Those robo dogs. They are used to literally hurt and maim and delete poor people. They don't need ice. They can have robo dogs. Okay, you don't want to listen to me? Bang, you're dead.
They're testing the robo dogs. Tesla, Elon Musk came out with a prototype for an Android. So we're going to see androids in the streets soon.
Buy this dog. It's going to hurt you after it kills you.
They covered on the show at the time, and they had this prototype for Tesla, had a prototype for an Android. So they're probably going to start selling Androids soon to rich people. In its March 9th lawsuit, Anthropic said that the unprecedented and unlawful designation violated free speech rights and due process rights, while running afoul law requiring federal agencies to follow specific procedures in making decisions. The Pentagon separately designated Anthropic as a supply chain risk under a different law that could expand the order to the entire government. Anthropic is challenging that move in a second lawsuit in Washington, D.C. appeals court. So, yeah, it seems like Anthropic's trying to do the right thing here in stopping Claude from being used as a weapon and stopping it from surveilling Americans. But, of course, the Trump administration is suing them for it, or actually not suing them, Anthropic suing the Trump administration, but the Trump administration wants to, basically, they're blackballing this company because they're trying to do the right thing, which is rare for an AI company. They're like, yes, sir, use whatever you want, give us money. So... let's see.
I mean, I don't know how else to tell people that this is the wave of the future. You will own nothing. You will be happy. You will eat sea bugs, and then you'll be destroyed by literally AI. Because they don't give a fuck. They want you to rely on AI. I don't know if these stories are real or not, but I kind of glance at them and just kind of shake my head. Where they were using AI to raise their kids.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what happened to mom and dads?
Yeah, we're using AI to educate our kids. Uneducate, because we covered early in the show about how kids are using AI. They can barely read and barely write and barely do anything, and they're still graduating them from high school. So remember the strikes, the drug boat strikes? They're continuing, by the way. Nobody's noticed because we're all focused on Iran, but they're continuing. U.S. confirmed 157 killed in maritime strikes. Experts call it extrajudicial. Oh, you don't say. It's definitely extrajudicial. Because Trump administration alleging that they're drug boats, but they're not provided a shred of evidence and not arrested anybody or taken to court. So they're definitely extrajudicial. The United States military has confirmed at least 157 people have been killed in lethal strikes against alleged drug trafficking boats off Latin America, described as a campaign of extrajudicial killing by legal experts. Oh, you don't say. I knew that. I'm not a lawyer. Senior defense official Joseph Humierer said that 47 narco-trafficking vessels have been struck in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific since the campaign began in September. In a written statement to Congress, added by lawmakers on Tuesday, whether the quantity of drugs entering the U.S. has gone down. Humierer said that the movement of drug trafficking vessels have decreased by 20% in the Caribbean. That's the question they asked. They asked if drugs entering the U.S. have gone down. Well, he's talking about how drug trafficking. Yeah, it's not gone down, but he got around the question by saying, "Well, drug trafficking vessels decreased by 20%." That's not what they asked. They asked whether drugs entering the U.S. is lowered. Yeah, so
no, it's gone up. You know how they get it here?
Yeah.
They get it by plane.
Yeah, it hasn't. So we measure the decrease in movement of vessels. Again, that's not what they asked. They asked if drugs, overall drugs into the U.S. have gone down. But there's no terms of the drugs actually getting into the U.S. Representative Adam Smith responded.
It's a lie.
Yeah, experts have expressed skepticism that the strikes are having any significant impact on the drug trade. They haven't. And legal scholars said that the campaign is a clear violation of international law. The Trump doesn't care. And is blurring the distinction between armed conflict and criminal activity. Under international law, military force is permitted for the former, but not for the latter. The Inter-American Commission on Human Rights is holding hearings on the strikes, and advocates hope that the hearing should open a door to possible legal accountability for the responsible. Bullshit. That's not happening. The U.S. is not going to be held responsible for this. And even if the IACHR tried to, you think Trump cares? It's like, go fuck yourselves. I'm going to continue doing this. What are you going to do about it?
Where were they on the last fucking wars that they, all these fucking shit that they're doing in Ukraine and Russia and the shit that they're doing in the Middle East? You think they give a fuck about war crimes? They're holding the U.S. accountable, fuckers.
Yeah, they won't. The U.S. has committed more war crimes than any other country on earth, but somehow, we're not responsible. But by the way, Putin is wanted by the International Criminal Court for allegedly stealing kids from Ukraine, even though it turns out that he was protecting Ukrainian kids from the war. But that's a war crime, apparently. Netanyahu was wanted by the International Criminal Court, but the U.S. is not going to turn him over. We in America,
what's funny is saving kids and killing kids, deleting kids are, So they praise you for deleting kids and then, stealing them and then deleting them, and then they punish you for saving them. You see where the morals kind of don't match up anymore?
Putin is a wanted war criminal for saving kids from bombing campaigns in Ukraine.
But yet Trump is not, he is not even mentioned when it comes to him being a pedophile, and he's also bombed kids.
By the way, the U.S. U.S. passed a law saying if the ICC arrested any American, that they were allowed to invade The Hague in order to get the citizen back and kill whoever they have to kill. So the U.S. has zero respect for the ICC. Hell, we're not even a signatory to it. So we don't even recognize their authority. The Pentagon has shared videos on social media showing the strikes on the vessels, but provided a few details about those killed or evidence in their status as drug vessels. Oh, by the way, those videos look like Call of Duty. I made this point before. They're trying to propagandize kids into fighting these wars and bombing these ships or boats. Like, hey, look, it's like Call of Duty. And kids get tricked into that and join the military, but they don't realize they're killing real people. Unlike Call of Duty, where it's a video game. The administration of U.S. President Donald Trump has embraced a militarized approach to combating drug trafficking that has allowed the U.S. to expand its military footprint across the region. The U.S. has stepped up collaboration with friendly governments such as Ecuador and threatened military strikes against countries like Mexico and Colombia, and do not do more to accommodate U.S. demands. So
if you think that Trump is literally fighting drugs, you are an idiot. You are the
Yeah, thank
idiot of the
you.
highest order.
Thank you, Sean. The Hague Invasion Act. Yeah, that's what I was referring to. But I didn't remember the name of the law. But I do remember they passed the law basically saying they're allowed to invade the Hague if they even arrest an American citizen, any American citizen, and mostly who commit war crimes are the elite. So definitely, they're going to go and rescue them and kill whoever they have to at the Hague in order to get that American back. So let's see. Whoops. I don't know if we're having anything else tonight. Hold on. I might have one more thing, but before we go, but I just don't remember where it's at right now. Either it's on Twitter or it's on my YouTube. But hold on. Not that one. What is this one?
If you think that Trump is fighting drugs or this drug war, you're a fucking moron. You
Here
don't
you
think.
go. This is the one I wanted to cover before we go.
This is
So
not
if
about
everybody,
drugs. Hang on. This is not about drugs, guys. This was never about drugs. What this was about was the fucking the fact that Trump wants to distract from the fact that he's in his Epstein files and he's fucking kids and he's been fucking kids all along and he's going to continue to kids. Guys,
yeah,
keep your eye on the prize. Trump doesn't give a fuck if you literally kill yourself, or sorry, if you self-delete because you take drugs. They don't care about if you take on drugs. They don't care about you. They want you to take the drugs. It's called pharmaceuticals. They want you to be on antidepressants, so you self-delete.
yeah, it's the painkillers. They're legal drugs. They're legal. They get addicted to it. It's perfectly legal, even though it should be illegal to have these like morphine and these strong painkillers. So California, as everybody knows, they passed the Digital Age Assurance Act, AB 1043, forces phones to collect your birthday to set up, broadcast your age brackets every app starting 2027. Built-in spying. States already ahead or similar 2025, 2026 laws. Utah, Texas, Louisiana, App Store age signal parental consent, some effective in 2026 but facing challenges. Next likely violators, Alabama enacted App Store Accountability Act in 2026, plus Colorado, New York, Washington, Illinois, considering voting on similar OS app age verification bills. More states are pushing device-level tracking for kids' safety. Expect
bullshit.
Wave of eroding privacy rights nationwide.
No, they don't give a fuck about the kids.
The problem is California, the bill is so broad that is demanding age verification on free open source software. If you guys don't know what open source software is, it's like it's free software. I know you do, but some of the audience may not. It's free to use software. Yeah, OBS is free open broadcasting software. That's free source. That's open source.
So like Thunderbird, we're talking
Linux.
Thunderbird, Linux. Some of Linux is open. LibreOffice or some like that's what's called Libre. Whatever. Libre, same thing. So Thunderbird, Libra, Linux, yes. Anything you can think of that's free software. So Chris Titus has some free stuff, free software stuff.
For California, that bill is so broad that it demands all these open source software to do age verification too. Here's the issue with that. These open source softwares are not companies, they're free. So they only have a few people, maintaining the software. And how the hell are they supposed to do this? Like they have to hire lawyers, they have to hire compliance teams, they have to go in deep into the software and put in age verification. That's not going to happen. So
what they're hoping, this is my guess. What they're hoping is that these open source won't be open source. So, what was it? Open Office or something like that. It's kind of a free, it's kind of like LibreOffice, only it's called Open Office, I think. Which is also like, you don't have to pay for Word or Excel or anything. It's kind of like, it's an open source. And they're hoping, the thing is, these companies hate open source. They don't like it. They hate it because, again, they don't want poors to have free stuff. Okay. So, I see that Microsoft they got rid of Windows Mail. You know how Windows Mail was in Windows 10?
Yeah.
There is no Windows Mail anymore. It's Outlook or it's Thunderbird.
Outlook. Yeah.
And Thunderbird, you have to pay for it. Thunderbird is something that's a free source. But again, they're doing all this stuff. They're saying we don't like open source because we don't want poor people to have free stuff. So we're going to demand that all these open source products have some kind of age verification or some kind of law where they have to do this, that, and the other thing. And if they don't, they'll lose that open sourceness. So they'll make it not free anymore or go out of business. If they go out of business, guess what? No more open source stuff, no more free stuff. So
That's
you have to pay for stuff.
that I didn't think of. So it's a two-pronged approach. One is eroding your privacy, and two, trying to get rid of open source software for that reason. I didn't think of that one. That's a good point. But this guy's going to talk about how some open source software or not companies, but people are kind of geo-blocking California because basically blocking people in California using their software. So
could be true, yeah.
Affect everyone. California just passed a law that requires your phone to spy on you. Not a suggestion, not a terms of service update that you can opt out of, but a legal requirement. Every app you open, every launch, every download, your device is now required to report information about you to anyone who asks. They call it a safety feature, but I'm going to prove that it's something much more dangerous than that. California just passed a new law, and on the surface it sounds reasonable. Age verification, about protecting the kids. Nobody's going to argue with that in public. But I spent 20 years as a professional hacker and an information security analyst, and I know how these systems get built, how they get broken, and most importantly, how they get used to control people. And when I read this law, I saw something that most people are completely missing. This law doesn't just apply to social media. It doesn't just apply to apps. And it doesn't just apply to your phone. It applies to every piece of software on every device that you own. Your laptop, your desktop, your tablet, every operating system running on every machine, including the free open source software that millions of people use to run their businesses, learn to code, and build things without asking for anyone's permission. Yes, Linux. This is going to be insane. And the people who wrote this law had no idea that software like that even existed. That ignorance just broke something important. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what and exactly why it affects you, even if you've never written a line of code in your life or even know what these operating systems are. Now, let me show you what this law actually requires in plain language. It's called AB 1043. If you want to go look it up yourself, and I'll have that information in the description. Starting January 1st, 2027, every operating system in California must collect your age when you set up a new device. Then broadcast the age.
So they want these companies to build in age verification deep into the OS. So like in the kernel, as soon as you pop it open, the first thing that pops up is age verification. They want it deep in the kernel, so there's no way to take it out. Because unless you hack it, know what you're doing, you can't take it out.
Well, and that's why I just saw a video about this. Chris Titus, who, for anyone in the IT field, if you don't know who Chris Titus is, it's because you're not IT. But Chris Titus talked about this, where in the developmental Windows 11, they make it so that you cannot, no matter which, if you do the OOBE /bypass NRO to make a local account on Windows 11, because Microsoft demands that you make a Microsoft account now on Windows 11, unless you're deficient, you know how to get around it, right? Well, none of these in I think it was the dev something Windows 11 version.
Yeah.
I found a way around that. It's like start underscore something or other. But anyway, I found a way around the OOBE. If that doesn't work, you do the start local only, right? So it's a command that you run in the command prompt.
I'm starting to learn code now in my IT class, so we're getting to that code. So it's like, okay, so I kind of know what you're talking about, but
yeah, well, there is So during the setup of Windows 11, if you do a Shift F10 or an FN Shift 10 F10, you can actually put in a command, and you can look this up. I'm sure they have YouTube videos about it. This is how I learned how to do it. You can put in a couple commands, either OOBE / bypass NRO, or you could do this start safe, MS local only. But in this new Windows Dev, you can't do any of those. So Chris Titus says there is a way around it. You just have to, follow. If you want to look it up, it's Chris Titus, and Windows 11 won't allow you a local account. Where in Windows 10, you could I mean, you always made a local account, right? You didn't have to sign in if you didn't want to. But really, what this is telling everybody, and this should scare the fuck out of everybody. I hope there's ways around it, but this is where you literally will not own any devices unless you give up your age. And I tell them to go fuck themselves. I am the wrong age. And what are they going to do about it? They're going to fucking do nothing. I don't have to give you my birthday. Fuck you.
Yeah, you
This is so they can literally, they know everything about you. And I've been telling people this forever. This is where digital ID will come into it. They will know everything about you.
Yeah, but the people who wrote this law are middle-aged politicians. They don't know about Linux and how open source software work, which is why
They don't care.
a lot of this
They
open source
honestly
software,
don't care.
they're going to geo-lock it, including Linux. Problem is, a lot of businesses run Linux because it's free software, so the IT department can set it up whatever way they want. If they ban Linux bans California, they're screwed. They're going to have to go to Windows and whatever, and it's going to be a disaster for businesses out there. So,
That's true. The other thing is they will also have to, because again, the people, I have a lot of Amish customers who use Thunderbird because it is a free software and it will literally do Gmail just fine. It will literally do Outlook just fine. Outlook emails. It will pretty much do any kind of, Exchange. If you have Exchange emails, if you have your own domain, it will do that too. Again, we've been having a lot of issues with Outlook and Gmail. Outlook and Gmail, the Outlook Classic, I should say. The Outlook Classic and Gmail just don't want to work exclusively with each other. I was on the phone for at least 2 hours trying to get Gmail to work in Outlook Classic with a customer, and it just wasn't working out. He had to use the Gmail webmail. So here you go. Thunderbird doesn't do that. It doesn't even worry about Gmail's authentication to the process bullshit.
Google prefers you use their email thing instead of trying to work with Outlook or whatever. So
but Thunderbird doesn't have that problem. So.
Yeah.
App that asks for it. And when they say every operating system, they mean every operating system. Your smart TV, your 3D printer, your refrigerator, even potentially your thermostat, any device with software that connects to an app store to receive updates or downloads is covered under this law. California just decided that your television may need to know how old you are before it turns on. Now you get sorted into one of 4 age brackets. Under 13, 13 to 15, 16 to 17, and 18 and over. And that signal follows you everywhere. Every app, every launch, and every download. Now here's where it falls apart completely. Think about servers that run on the internet. Not your laptop, but the machines in the background. The ones processing your Google searches, streaming your video, routing your payments. Those machines have no screen, no keyboard, no user sitting in front of them. They spin up, they do a job, and they get shut down, sometimes even in seconds. There is no one there to enter a birthday. There is no account setup screen. There is no age to verify. California just mandated age verification for machines that have no humans operating them. This law doesn't even know machines like that exist. It doesn't even make sense. And that is the most dangerous kind of law that there is. One written by people who are technically illiterate about what they're regulating. Here's the moment that stopped me.
All they do care is that you will drive. We will know everything about you. You will own nothing, be happy, and eat sea bugs. They don't care about all this technology. They don't care to know anything about it. That's not the point. The point is they want to know everything you're doing. They want to get into your lives. They want to make sure that you're on digital ID so that if they need to deny you for something, they healthcare. Deny you healthcare. You go to the grocery store and try to buy meat, and they say, "Sorry, you've had too much meat this month. You're denied." Oh!
So he's going to talk about an open source calculator here and how they geo-lock California. So this
stopped me cold. A calculator, not a social media platform, not a streaming service, an open source calculator firmware. Now, open source means that the code is public, that anyone can see it, anyone can use it, nobody owns it, and it's built by volunteers mostly, and it's used by students and engineers and hobbyists all over the world. This calculator firmware software just geo-blocked the entire state of California. Not because they did anything wrong, not because anyone was harmed by their calculator, but because complying with this law would require them to build age verification infrastructure into a calculator. They don't have the lawyers, the budget, or the engineers to even do it. So they did the only thing that they could. They put up a sign that says, you know what, California? You're not welcome here. Now let that land for a second. California passed a law so broad, so disconnected from reality, that a calculator had to ban the entire state. And it doesn't stop there. There's a small open source operating system called Midnight BSD, and they made the same announcement, same decision, same reason. They can't fight it, they can't comply with it, they just have to keep coding and believe that the software should be free. Two completely different pieces of software, two completely different teams, but one identical conclusion.
And that's what I was trying to say.
Software, a legal.
Yeah, open source is now legal liability in California.
Right, that's why I was making the point of, again, these free softwares are not in, it's like you buy a subscription to them. That's why it's called open source. It's open source because anyone can use it. Okay, but also if something goes wrong with it, guess what? Then, you're kind of fucking on your own. But I mean, open source is open source for a reason. And the reason why they want to keep it open source, many of the companies do, is because they want people to use their software. So, and like I said, they're not big companies that make all billions of dollars and stuff. These are companies that are pretty much very small business kinds, like Open Office, again, Linux, Thunderbird, Firefox, all these people that make all these free and open source.
They're open source.
Brave. and they're free to the public. But they don't have the kind of right. They don't have these kind of
Brave.
The Brave, right.
Yeah, I like that browser. I'm using it right now. So
Opera is another one I think is open source as well.
Yeah.
My coworker uses Opera because he loves Opera.
Yeah,
it's a web browser.
Open source. Yeah.
Yeah, old school. But I mean, I used to use Opera and then I stopped because there's too many plugins that weren't available for it. So. But I would use it again instead of Chrome. It's just I do everything with Chrome, so I might as well stay there. All my shit and shit. But anyway, what I meant by, and again, I was explaining this because again, these open source are trying to remain open source. So if California fucks up and says, well, you have to have this code in here that verifies everybody's name and address and we know everything about them, and they say, no, go fuck yourself. We want to remain an open source. So if they have to say, to California, that's what they're going to do. And remember, Gavin Newsom is the governor of California. Pass this fucking bill in the first place. Because Gavin Newsom does not give a fuck about you. He wants to know every fucking thing you do, every person you talk to, every person you fuck during the day or night. They want to know everything you do. They want to watch you. Which is why I always have my camera off. They watch you jack off all day. Because that's what they want to do. They want to get you on digital ID so that you really have to bow down to the government and, well, sorry, you already had your meat for this month. Sorry, you already have enough gasoline. You had so much gasoline this month. Sorry, we're going to turn your fucking air and heat off in the middle of summer and winter so you fucking freeze to death. Well, sorry, you already had your energy enough for the month. No, guys, that's not how this is. I don't want a smart, I never, ever will buy a smart refrigerator. I will never have someone tell me that I have to have a smart, temperature gauge? That's what I call it. Thermostat, yeah. I have an old-fashioned one where you turn the thing up and down. You don't have to go into a...
There's some electric companies in some states that are basically trying to force smart meters onto people, and people have to keep refusing them, but they're still coming out and trying to install them without you knowing about it. So they're trying to force smart meters on people.
Right, because they want to be able to turn off your air in the middle of summer so you fucking roast to death, or they want to be able to turn your heat off in the middle of winter so you freeze to death. Again, this has to do with the fact that, well, you've used your energy up for this month. Sorry, we're going to have to turn you off. Sorry, you're going to have to fucking sacrifice yourself for the fucking rich people who literally have private jets.
Yeah. So
your life doesn't mean anything to these people. They don't give a fuck about you. Not even Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, it's a little bit less.
Liability. Now, here's what most people miss when they first hear about this law. They think this is about social media, or it's about kids and protecting them on TikTok, or some niche corner of the internet that they don't use. It's not.
I want to rape them.
It's about the device in your hand right now. If you have an iPhone, this law applies to Apple. If you have an Android, this law applies to Google. If you have a Windows laptop, this law applies to Microsoft. Every single one of them now has a legal obligation to collect your age and encode it into a signal and broadcast it to every app that you open, every launch, every download, every single time. And California is threatening developers with fines up to as much as $7,500 per affected child if they intentionally or even accidentally classify the wrong age bracket. Imagine a developer makes a mistake and their app is downloaded thousands or tens of thousands of times, and it's a cost of $7,500 per affected child. That's bankruptcy. And here's the part that caught me this morning. I opened the App Store on my iPhone to install an app, and before I could do anything, a screen appeared and said, hey, there's an age-appropriate experience in the apps now. Share that you're an adult, so you're not limited to child and teen content. I didn't ask for that screen. I didn't trigger it. It just appeared.
Well, and my phone hasn't done that yet, to be fair. So maybe he lives in California, and Apple's already kind of pre-installing the software, even though it doesn't apply until next year. Let me see. Let me open up my app store here. No, I haven't gotten it here in New Jersey. So we're not considering a law here, as far as I know. They're going to do this. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Hang on. I have an Android. I have a Samsung Ultra 24. So hang on. And I'm in Pennsylvania.
I'm trying to download something.
Where is my app store? Here it is.
No, I'm downloading HBO Max now, and it's not asking me for age verification.
And if it does, I'm gonna lie and say it's none of your fucking business.
Yeah, lie about it and say, like, instead of being 39, like I'm 35, whatever. That's all they really.
Yeah, I'm 80 years old, motherfucker. Go fuck yourself. There's got to be a way around it where you could just fucking lie and say, yeah, I'm fucking 50 or something.
So it's basically just age verification. They're not asking for your ID, or at least not yet. So you can lie about your age and just move on. Yeah, so it's easy to get around age verification for now, at least.
They're doing that in, did they say Australia? They're doing that in Australia, where if you do a Google search, you have to provide ID. And I say, go fuck yourself.
Australia is like the testing ground for that. See whether people will do it. So it's like they were testing ground for others.
If you don't like it, suck a dick. I ain't doing it.
Yeah, so I wanted to cover that because I thought we're both techies here and we're geeking out, and it's important. It's still important to talk about that. So, all right, so we're way past our time. It's like 9:25, but yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up there. We doing pro wrestling talk tomorrow, or you still got stuff to do?
Yes, sir. Nope, okay. I have nothing to do tomorrow. Well, I have a little bit of stuff to do because it is Ostara. Blessed Ostara to everybody. It's the pagans' Easter. Is what they call it. I am going to be making eggs, and I have to do my show tomorrow too. My Nobody Beats Kurt Hennig. Nobody. Please check that out. It will be coming out both episodes on YouTube and Rumble this week because I had to kind of coordinate his birthday one because his birthday episode comes out on the 28th. Of March, so because that is Kurt's real birthday, so both episode 131, I believe it is, will be coming out on March 22nd for both YouTube and Rumble at 9:00 at night. So just be aware for that schedule change. It will go back to normal after the 28th, but that scheduling change will happen. I did that on purpose so that people could enjoy the 131, but then also enjoy his birthday 132 episode, and you have enough time to watch both. So March 22nd, I just want to let everyone know of that programming change, that it will be coming out. Usually it comes out Sunday on Rumble and then Thursday on YouTube. That programming change will be effect only these 2 weeks. So this week and next week, both YouTube and Rumble will be coming out on March 22nd and then March 28th. So little programming change, but it will go back to normal after the 28th. Mm-hmm.
All right. So We'll be back tomorrow for Pro Wrestling Talk. Angel in the afternoon, as usual, is next Friday at 7. Hopefully, Alex will be able to join us, but, if not, I assume he'd be able to. So, yeah, we do have to go. I have to go to the bathroom and stuff. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Like and subscribe. Pro Wrestling Talk is tomorrow and all that good stuff. And have a nice weekend, and peace out.